I was thinking about it. I'm an introvert. Like I'm a painfully and always have been a painfully sort of interior person.
You can change that as much as you want. If you packed everything up, like cut the internet off and moved to a new town, like who would you be there? If you wake up every day, you have a capacity to be great.
Ask you something. Is the next 30 seconds guaranteed?
Yeah, never.
Never.
You have to answer every day when you go to bed. Were you a good person? Were you kind? Did you care about others? Or were you selfish and only thought about what you wanted?
Continuing to ask questions in like a kind or positive way.
If I can create a spot where people can come together.
Stay off the internet, stop researching, because all you're going to do is get in your head.
I did what everybody does when they're about to die. I started praying.
This might be my last fork in the road.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Exactly. Welcome to our journey,
Where open dialogue and curiosity are the only requirements.
whether it be serious or lighthearted,
Music, heroing stories,
aliens.
or politics or comedic debauchery.
We attempt to peel the layers back and connect together in a way that's genuine and honest.
Without any script or idea what the hell is going to happen.
This is organic, curious, human interaction.
We thank you for joining us and ask if you enjoy the show, please do all the things that social media requires for its more ridiculous algorithms.
The like button, follow, subscribe, comment, and review.
And although we may have a disdain for algorithms, it's how the internets work.
But if you have as much disdain for them as we do, you can visit the website, chroniccuriosity.com. The link is in the description. You can find all of our stuff there.
And the store, Tony, which you can pick yourself up some fantastically curious merchandise.
Welcome to Chronic Curiosity.
And here we go.
Well, not always, but you can almost taste like that maturation in bourbons that are older than 4 years old. So like if you sat down two bourbons here, and they were like pretty similarly like aged and barrel and everything like that, I could probably be like, I could go do that. This one tastes more mature than this one.
Huh.
I don't know if you can do that with scotch.
I don't usually dabble in that young of an age range, so I don't have much experience with it. I think like legality of it, it has to be like 4 years. Sorry, what?
Nothing.
No. He was trying to make any off-color jokes. You were like, I usually don't dabble in that age range. And then you said the legalities, and I just looked at him and I'm like,
This is real
Don't go there. Sorry.
don't go there.
Yeah, so I think legally it has to be like 4 years or something like that
Okay.
to be considered scotch or whatever they, don't quote me on that.
There's a lot of depths in those weird, all the things.
Yeah, but I usually don't go. There's like a lot of, I don't know if it's like this in bourbons too right now, but there's a lot of non-age statement coming out, and it's just it's so much marketing stuff,
Or
What's the point in that?
They can make it's kind of a way for them to like offload stuff in their warehouse that may be like subpar for them, that's not meeting their standards, but they can blend it with something else, and they like, hey, we'll call it Vikings Rage or whatever, and then they'll sell it,
So they don't have to like market it as a certain year.
Or I don't know if they can do this, but sometimes like the bourbon places they'll blend and then they'll go with like a higher age statement of like, oh, this was a, and I'm like, that's not an 8 year. Like,
yeah, right, yeah.
That's like a drop of 8 year.
Yeah,
with
right.
1 year in there.
I do see some of those blends where it's like,
right.
5 and 15 year. It's like, well, what does that even mean?
98%.
Yeah. But no, there's some awesome blended or sourced bourbons. I mean, that's that's High West, and then I think it used to be the old Seagrams in Indiana. It's MGP. And they do that for a lot of people, and so you might not even know that comes from MGP. So
I don't know what all that stuff means. All I know is it tastes good.
well, it's not being distilled in their distillery, like, so
it's just being mixed by somebody.
Yeah,
for
that
them.
was let me think here. We had it on the one show, and I said it tasted like Malort, like lightning bugs.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that distillery is down in Cincinnati. So it used to be OKI, and then they let their stuff mature and they stopped sourcing it, and then they came out with like their first 4 year, I think, and then now they do their own thing, so they didn't have to source it from someone else.
There's a lot of history. A lot of people that get into how did you get into like the Scotch thing? How is it just you? That's where you found your palate took you.
He watched Anchorman and it was down in his
Yeah,
belly.
that's pretty much where it is.
Anchorman.
Yeah,
I love scotch.
the rest is
Scotch,
history.
scotch.
I can't remember what it was. That kind of just. I'm always kind of like into stuff that you can kind of be geeky about, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of like intricacies around any type of whiskey and stuff. So I think I watched a YouTube video, to be honest with you, on it years ago, and just kind of saw it and was like, this is neat. And then it's starting with the early basics and then just kind of working your way into it. Just kind of liked it.
Learning all the steps.
Yeah, and then there's like you say scotch, but it's like there's so much. That's such a vague term realistically once you start looking at it, because there's all the different regions taste so different. It's
Well, the same thing as like whiskey. People think whiskey or bourbon. Well, it's like, well, there's a Kentucky whiskey and a Kentucky bourbon and an Irish whiskey and this whiskey and Canadian whiskey and like all these different things taste completely different. It's like it's just the way they're made, or whatever.
Right.
Which one's that, Tone?
Oh,
we got
the Redbreast 12.
yeah. Try one.
It's like it's pretty smooth because it's all pot still, so it's pretty creamy mouthfeel to it. But
That's what I was going to ask in Scotch is mouthfeel. That's like a pretty big, like, so is it a nose and then a mouthfeel or like what do they call it, legs and then the palate and.
Yeah. I mean, I don't put much stock in the legs personally.
Yeah.
I think it's just all nose and palate for me.
A syrupy, velvety mouthfeel.
So I do like the
chocolate
smell,
and tar.
Yeah.
The smell of it's real good. I do like that. That is good. It's almost has that. You can taste because you said it was some kind of caramel or something mixed in there too.
No, I mean, there's not actually in there, but notes of caramely butterscotch.
That's good.
Creamy.
Yeah,
I might become a Scotch guy.
I like that one.
That's good, or whatever. That's good. I like that. Yeah, it's like a almost like a cleaner's not the word I want, but like a crisper bourbon. Where it's not quite, because a lot of bourbons are a little thicker and a little heavier to it. And it's kind of like a
little greener or fresher, maybe.
Yeah. All the. See, I'm learning all the things all the time. I like it. Yeah. So, Josh Snyder, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good times. Yeah.
I know. I told off before we started recording. Like we got down here, and you want to try some?
Yeah.
You want to? You just want to try this one? Lily, I told Turner, we walked down like 5 minutes in. I was like, well, we should have started recording all this. This is fascinating. We're talking about fly fishing and that's something else I don't know about.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Looks like we got a fan. We're gonna have to figure out what that is. We're gonna have to start going down those aisles.
There's the bottle. Have at
it. She's got to work all the things over there.
Yeah.
Press the buttons.
Just keep it on autopilot. We'll be fine, right?
I like him.
Yeah. But you mentioned you said something about getting geeky on things, which I can totally get down with. I'm not one of those people that's maybe 100% into everything, but I like to be like 75% into everything. I've joked about as I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. That's kind of like how I find myself, like with all these electronics. People are like, "Oh wow, you do all of this stuff." I'm like, kind of like that. Me and YouTube,
Right.
And whether it be music, like we talked about, or hunting or bourbons, it's like I kind of enjoy it, and and I can explain it probably better than the average person. But is that something that you just kind of like grew up with, or is it like something that was kind of instilled in you? That just kind of you just found yourself there.
I've always been kind of like all in or nothing type. Usually, whenever I go into something, whether that's good or bad, sometimes it's bad. But usually I go in pretty deep on something, and it's not necessarily intentional. It's just kind of how it is. Just all in or not.
That's right. Well, I think it's worked for your. It seems to be. So you run one of the things you do. Is you run an advertising kind of agency? Is that kind of like your full-time gig now? That's what you.
Yeah, that's the day job. I work with my dad. He's the founder of the company. We do marketing, branding, advertising.
Well, I'll tell you what. Obviously, we technically officially met for the first time. Today. I think our paths have crossed, but I've been talking about you for at least a few years. Just because, so let me clarify.
Hey, okay.
I'll clarify.
My ears have been burning too.
Yeah. So obviously I know the Rogue Tree Solutions guys who obviously Tony's one of them, and we've had Corey and had that kind of Rogue Tree Solutions talk on the podcast before. But the commercials and the advertisement that you do for those would just blew me away.
Oh, thanks.
I remember, Corey's like, "Oh, we got this guy. He's the guy.
Yeah.
We got," and I was like, "Oh, okay, Corey." Like, but then like when I saw the stuff that you like was being put out, I'm like, "Holy cow! Like this is legit. Like,
Yeah.
you do phenomenal work." So now it's like people talk about that. I'm like, "Oh, you want to if you want to advertise, like check these people. Like look at this commercial. Like," and they're like, "That's really awesome." Because most commercials and like advertisements you see, like, I get it. It's an advertisement. Okay, cool. But like your stuff's like it gives me the same vibes as like a war film where I'm like, it gets me amped up. Like, so like,
It makes me want to go climb some trees.
I'm not quite there. I still stay on the ground.
But the
I'm
work
not ready for my brother to be my boss, but it makes me want to.
But how did you get like how did you find yourself there and like in doing something that I mean maybe you don't see yourself this way, but you create a phenomenal product and the production that you put into it. Like how did all that come about? Like how'd you get there?
I think it kind of again stems back to the all in or nothing type of thing. But I'm a big movie geek too, so I love film, and I love kind of like you mentioned war films. Like I love war films. I love anything that's kind of like really visceral. And raw and edgy, really gets the blood going. Trying to tell that story or put that emotion into somebody through a screen, that telling that story type of thing is really cool to me. Making somebody feel something, that rip them out of their chair through a film. It's really cool.
Boy, you do a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, even through a commercial. That's what I was like, fuck, this is a commercial. Like, I want to go do something. Like, this is awesome.
Everybody we played that video for, like, I'm not lying. Like, everybody's just like, that's ridiculous. They're like, I'm so pumped up, like that music and the dudes just climbing and chainsaws. And
yeah, and it's not too much.
I was like, shh, don't say it too loud. Toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, but all the women want Rogue to come and cut down some trees. They don't even need the trees cut down, but they want you guys to come cut down some trees. Watch this commercial.
Hey, whatever sells, right?
Yeah. It looks good. That's it gets the blood flowing.
Gets the people going.
Yeah, and it's not too much because some things I watched so we're getting a table. Well, getting a table made might be a strong word. We're working with I don't know if you know Tyler Deso. So he's helping us create a table for the last like 6 months.
Bro, that's generous.
It was
it's
generous.
like 8 to 9
but we give him a
months.
hard time
Like,
because
someone had a baby in that period of time already.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so we're making
Really,
it
a
like,
human or a table. That's
it's yeah, the table hasn't grown nearly as much.
I can't say that. I don't even know this guy, and I'm slamming out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. He takes it well. But have you ever seen those like resin tables and stuff? They'll take like two different slabs of wood or whatever and put them together. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Oh, that's cool.
But we were over there. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
It was yesterday. We were doing our first pour because it's so thick. You have to do it in like multiple pours with the epoxy.
Oh, you're doing it too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we're all. I'm helping him. I'm encouraging him. I'm pushing him along.
It's pretty much a foot in the ass is what it is. And it became participatory.
Yeah.
I won't mince words.
Yeah, but
not good at that.
anyways, so we're watching. We're watching this video because we're all like learning how to do it. As we go on the fly. And someone had this video of them like pouring at this table, and it was a really cool video with like mixing it and they're doing the things, but they had this like real like pump up music behind it, and I'm like, I mean, this is a cool video, but the music might be a little too much for like what we got going on here.
I need a rock concert for porn epoxy. Like,
Yeah, I'm just watching you make a table. Like, it doesn't need to be like trying to get me to go into battle here, bro. Like,
There's a fine line with that though. Like it's one of those things. Like if you swing for it and you miss with that epic music, it's really hokey.
right.
Like you could if you swing and miss, it's bad. And that's the hard part about it, right? Is you have to shoot it and film it in a way that matches that music that you're putting with it and whatnot. Otherwise, it's rough. It's like standing in an elevator with death metal behind you. And it's just
You're like, oh, this is awkward.
This is awkward, right? Yeah, just twiddling your thumbs.
Doors come open.
Yeah, I feel like I should be thrashing right
Yeah.
now, but I'm standing here with somebody I have no idea who they are,
Right.
and they're coughing, and it's 2020.
School me, Tony, here if you don't mind, and whatever.
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we rolling with now?
Let me see here. Are you opposed to something sweeter, or do you like something that's a little?
When you say sweet, like what are we talking? Like,
I'll just let you try
Yeah,
it. So you try this one first.
not a huge sweet guy, but
I'll give you a little bit of it. So
I was gonna say because I would say this one we had originally was
that's
sweeter.
Okay.
I would say that
that's
would be a
fine.
sweeter.
Yeah, then that's fine.
Yeah, because typically, at least the stuff that Tony's got, he's not too much of a sweet guy.
I don't like sweet.
But he'll get some spicy stuff.
I like that. But
Maybe not spicy. I'm just saying it gets a little hot.
Spicy.
It gets hot.
Speaking of spicy, you want someone who likes spicy? His dad.
Yeah, like spicy is like pepper spicy.
No, as in
or?
like growing
Ghost
like
peppers,
Carolina Reapers and stuff, man.
Yeah. I don't do that.
I can't do that. Like, I got to be able to enjoy something.
I know
I'm eating.
that's why he's like, the flavor, and I'm thinking, if
Oh, what flavor?
I don't taste anything for days.
Yeah,
like if I want that flavor, I'll just light up a welding torch and stick it to my tongue. How about like?
You mean the flavor of my taste buds burning? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm just not refined enough for it. I guess I don't know. That's really good. I like.
I was gonna say, if you like any of these,
Wow.
please pour more in there. I just didn't want to give you something and
No,
you
that's
feel
really good,
obligated.
yeah.
Like, ugh.
There's a lot of layers to that. That's really cool.
Yeah, we don't want to waste it. That's for sure.
That's really good.
Just that's what an infinity bottle's for.
An infinity bottle.
You ever heard of one of those?
No. What's that?
So it's just like the end of each bourbon or scotch or whatever. Dude, you just pour them in there. And then you just mix them. Like you might have 10, you might have 20, you might have 50, and then
basically the rest of what's in the
Yep,
bottle.
yep.
I thought you mean like, oh, this isn't very good. I was like, what kind of weird?
Oh, that's what I was hitting at.
Backwash.
That's what I was hitting
like
at.
bourbon you talking
Keep
about?
this for my friends come over.
Yeah, I feel like the bacteria in
builds
that probably
the immune system.
Hey, everyone needs a good immune system.
That's pretty good. So I don't know if scotches do this too, but with bourbons, they'll taste different. Like initially. And then,
yeah.
Big
time.
time. Yeah, that's been open for maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks, and it tastes completely different than when I opened it. And it's so much so that I've tried some ones that I'm like, that's terrible. Like that's absolutely terrible. Set it on the shelf, came back to it, tried it, and I'm like, that's not even the same bourbon.
Yeah, or the reverse. What was that? That was it the Calumet or whatever.
Yeah.
That we had the one time. He opened. It was like, oh, this is pretty good, and he brought it over, and then it was like,
wait a minute.
What is this? Like,
I think that was
no. It wasn't the Calumet because the Calumet wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was what was that one?
Oh.
Because I thought that's the one you were talking about. Because I remember. So he came over and he was like, oh, these are some pretty good ones.
It was a
and then
Woundville, I think. But
Was it a
that was
Woundville?
because I got COVID.
No, it wasn't. Remember, because we went to this entire podcast. He had like 3 different bottles of bourbon, and I had only had the 2. And like the one he had, he was like, "This thing's like bad," and I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I mean, it wasn't like the greatest bourbon I've ever had, but I thought it was pretty good." He was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "I must have like lost my mind." He's like, "This thing tasted like skunky, like gross, like it had like gone bad."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, it tasted pretty good, man." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "This one right here." I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Like, maybe let me try it." So like, it was like hours later, we had ended the podcast, and like, I literally went to try it, and I was like, "Oh, that's bad." And he was like, "Oh god," this whole time. Yeah. I don't know how bourbon goes bad like that.
So,
but
dude, if it sits for like a long, long time, or if like the cork starts to rot, like you'll take on some of that.
I could see that.
So,
Had that one been sitting that long? Because it was.
I don't know, man. Maybe like I have to every so often. You're supposed to turn them and wet the cork, and they're always supposed to be upright. And,
That's right. Yeah.
I try to keep a little amount of bottles open at a time for me, just to try to avoid that if possible.
oh, dude, I have like so many open. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm not going to sell them. You know? What
No,
I
I
mean?
hear
like,
you. Yeah.
But I'm like, I want to try all of them. Like,
Oh, I get
or I
ya.
bring them over and I'll bring like 10 at a time for buddies. Try this, and then. But the good thing is, then they can try it, and if they like it, then they're like, "Oh, I don't mind spending $50 or $60 on that." Instead of like,
Right.
I spent $50 or $60, and this thing sucks.
It's a gamble.
Yeah.
It always is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one time you made that joke where he was like, well, he's like, I feel like you go through bourbons a little faster than me. I'm like, well, that's because I only have like 2 or 3 at a time.
Right. Yeah.
You have 100 sitting on your counter.
It's all relative, but
yeah. So, well, yeah, the volume might not be any different. It's just you don't go through the same bottle.
Do you have like not a daily drinker, but like your go-to for scotch?
Yeah, so I really like Highland Park.
Okay.
So Highland Park 12 is it's kind of right in the middle for me. It's like there's some smoke to it, there's some peat to it, but there's a lot of like Highland flavors too. But
okay. And is that are they their own independent distillery or are they owned by? Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, there's an umbrella company behind a lot of these. I'm sure there probably is for this, but yeah, they're their own distillery. And I like Glenmorangie too.
Okay.
They have one that's aged in port wine barrels. And it's I like really like kind of dark. I'm this way with wine too. I really like the dark, rich, big reds and stuff. And that's like a really dark, rich whiskey. It's got a lot of dark chocolate flavors to it. And nuttiness and things.
Nice.
I like that. I like that vibe. I mean, this isn't exactly a crazy, I don't know names or whatever, but we're a fan of Jameson with whiskey just because it's a decent price and it's just a good, like you don't feel bad mixing a bottle of Jameson with some of these things. You're like, I don't want to mix, like you don't mix these, like
right.
But it's something. But then when they came out with their like stout barreled aged one. It was like, oh, it's a tiny bit more expensive but as far as whiskey, it's not. Sure. It's like I want to say it's like $33 a bottle or something like that. But it was like, oh, like they have something. Like this is really good.
Yeah, right.
This it's almost borderline like I don't want to mix. Like it's good enough. I would never consider mixing it with something. But it's like, well, it's not. It's just Jameson. Like they make hundreds of bottles all the time. So it's like, whatever. But it's I like that dark, flavor to it. It's like it makes it almost like smoother. That I don't know,
richness to it.
Yeah, with the sweetness sometimes it just different things. Like you talked about like wines. Like I can't do like the real light wines. Like if I want that, like I'll drink a Capri Sun.
Right.
Like thanks,
literally,
but no thanks.
Fruit punch or kiwi strawberry?
Yeah, no, definitely kiwi strawberry. The fruit punch always tastes so much faker. Oh no, I don't know. I used to drink Tang as a kid, so.
Ooh.
What do I know?
That's rough.
Tang. I got a Tang story.
Ooh.
No,
Story.
Not good. It
Is this
was
a family show.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's anything goes, Josh. Come on.
No, I usually have to check the box. This episode contains explicit material. So that's normal.
Well, was it made for kids?
No, absolutely. It's never made for kids, and it's usually contains explicit material.
Fairly irreverent.
Yeah. If nothing else, just for the F-bombs and all the other things that are thrown out there, I have to kind of check those boxes.
No, so not a perverted Tang story, but no, we were in college.
Pretty Tang story.
We were.
I had to say it.
we were in college, and college kids are just. I mean, they're just dumb. They'll just do anything.
About as dumb as they get.
Yeah, and that was me. And dude, I would pretty much just do anything. Like if someone was like, "I dare you to headbutt this door," like see if you can go through it, just anything. And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it."
Explains a lot, doesn't
it? No, I figured as much. So the one dare the one night was, "I dare you to snort this line of Tang."
Oh. That sounds like a terrible idea.
It was as bad. It was as bad as it sounds.
Oh man,
it was as bad as it sounds.
Well, because don't they have the sugar and everything like in that all in one? Because
you just add water and you're good to go.
Oh yeah,
and the water.
If you know what a sugar compound looks like, it's just razors.
It was bad. It was bad.
That's right up there with Steve-O snorting wasabi.
Oh, that might be worse. I don't know. Yeah. That's a tough one.
That would be pretty bad.
I'd do the Tang.
I'd do the Tang too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say though, this was pretty bad, and I mean, maybe you guys have done this.
He's got another one.
No, just eating like just straight raw garlic. I mean, have you ever eaten just straight raw garlic?
I love.
You like it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I had
good.
No, it was bad, and like, dude, I couldn't. It was like so hot.
The garlic you ate?
The garlic was so hot.
Must have been on the ground a long time.
Oh, dude, I don't know. It was like,
I think was it store-bought garlic?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. We were in college. It had to be.
Yeah, well, that
was. We weren't growing that in college.
There's some horticulture in there.
Yeah, right. If they're growing something, it wasn't garlic. I'm sure. Yeah, I will say, are you a garlic aficionado?
Oh, buddy, garlic is a food group. For me.
Oh, this
you
guy.
guys are just
we're just nailing.
did
we're
you guys just
checking
become
all-
best
we're just
friends?
checking all- So
Yep.
yeah, we do karate together. So that was one of the biggest things. I'll try to make this story short. Can we build bunk beds next? So my mom, like, I grew up with a garden because my mom loves it. My mom still does it. But one of the very first things she ever gave me was garlic, and I'm not much of a cooker, like, because I eat a lot of food, and I don't like the preparing food because it takes so much time. But so I started cooking with this fresh grown garlic that she grows, and I'm like, wow, this is really, really good. So I'd use it in everything. You know? And the one year I ran out, so I'm like, well, I need some garlic for something. So I went to the store and bought some garlic.
Yeah.
I minced it up, and I was like, I tasted it, scooped it all up, and threw it in the trash can. I was like, I can't even eat this shit. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So like now, now we have like a garden, and every year I'll replant our own garlic and do that. And what was it? It was probably 2 years. It was the first year I think we had a full garden. We planted tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes either. And the first year we getting tomatoes out of our garden, and I cut them up and I try just eat it, and I'm like, oh,
different thing.
This is why people like tomatoes, because when you grow real vegetables, it's incredible how good they taste.
Yeah.
So do you grow your own garlic?
I don't.
Do you have a garlic like dealer?
I do have a dealer actually. Yeah, right next door. So my parents actually we're fortunate they live right next to us. And my dad is a big gardener, so it's kind of like that whole, like, what's better than having a fishing boat is having a buddy with a boat.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
Buddy with the garden.
Yeah, totally.
I could just literally, like, lunchtime, just walk out there and grab the kale out of the garden or whatever I want to do, you know. But it's like it's pretty much every flavor you associate with a fruit or a vegetable, just on steroids, right? When it's like homegrown,
we need to find best friends with a boat and a garden, because it's a lot of work.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I mean, like last year, Dad was shucking all the garlic. I don't know if that's the right term or not at the end of the season, but as his fingers were bleeding from all the.
How much does he plant? Like
he grows a lot. I can't remember how many tomatoes he planted this year. Like 75 maybe, or something like that. Crazy numbers, like between 50 and 75 something.
What does he do with it all?
Drive by, throws tomatoes at.
Like, do they go to like the local farmers market and sell them?
He
or
cans
they
stuff. We eat them. I mean, we eat a lot of as much as you can. He has a lot of zucchinis and stuff like that, and he always jokes like by the end of the summer his friends won't even return his calls because he knows he's gonna try to pass off stuff. You just open your door and you hear the doorbell ring and there's a bag of zucchini out there. But he always grows way too many.
But I mean, it's good though. Especially, it's a lot cheaper and it's a lot better. Like the quality. Well, maybe not.
I don't know if it's cheaper. It's kind of like that thing where like the hunting thing, right? Where like you're like spending all this money on the equipment, and then you shoot a deer, and it actually ends up being like how many thousands of dollars for that deer?
Right. Well, that's when you have to learn how to process it yourself too.
Yeah. Or you got a buddy.
Or that.
Right there.
Or that. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Phil Olson.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the biggest things. One of the reasons why I think this was before we started recording was I talked about like deer bow hunting is kind of like the one area that I hunt in, because I'm not much of a fisherman. But that was one of the biggest things where like I started bow hunting, and I got my first deer, and then I'm like, they're like, all right, well, you can go and process it here or there, whatever. And like I realized how much that costs. I'm like, well, like sure, like the health benefits of even if you're some people still, they don't like hunting or eating meat, vegetarians, whatever, but like just the idea of, being able to harvest your own meat and processing it and eating it, the health benefits would be much better than if you really understand where meat comes from in the supermarket.
Yeah.
But it was like, you realize, I'm like, man, like, so I'm not saving money by doing this if I take it somewhere and get it processed. And it's like, well, luckily my in-laws, like my father-in-law, like basically that's how they survived when they were younger. So I was able to like glean some information off of them. So like I can cut it up. I can get some steaks and I can get the important pieces, and the rest of it I'm like, I like hamburger. Like, I just grind it all up.
It works, man.
Yeah. There's nothing like being able to, that argument always kind of, that idea that people hate hunters, but if you're like a vegan or a vegetarian, or I can't remember all the vegan is what you don't
Animal
use any type
products.
of animal
Yeah.
products at all. Vegetarian is you only eat vegetables and non-meat. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like no actual tissue meat. Yeah.
Right.
And
So
there's what pescatarians. And
what's a
seafood.
pescatarian?
Getting kind of nitty gritty. Yeah, the different categories.
Lacto ovarian or lacto. There's something. There's all these categories.
Yeah,
of
there's
it.
a lot of categories.
But
for
either
everything
way,
nowadays, but
if you're yelling at hunters, but you go to the grocery store and buy meat, stop it.
oh yeah, oh
You
yeah,
like, just,
oh
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's something about doing that, and man, so I learned how to do that, so I
Yeah.
could, maybe save a little bit of money. But
No, I mean,
usually,
it's like you said,
don't, because
well,
there's
it's
the
worth
gear,
it.
but
It's
you
worth it for
enjoy
your
it.
body. It's worth it for your body too. Like you said, like the nutrient value is, I mean, out of a wild animal or a homegrown vegetable is like, it's like comparing apples to oranges when you're talking like store-bought meat versus that. It's not even close.
And if you enjoy doing it, which I'm sure your dad probably, that's like my mom. She just
Right.
loves being in the garden. She just loves pulling weeds, which
Yeah.
I absolutely hate.
Oh,
But,
I hear you.
but,
I hear you.
but if you enjoy it, plus you get benefits out of it. It's the whole going down the geek road, right? Or you can geek out on something and enjoy it.
No, I'm big on that. I like what you put in your body. That's kind of a big thing for me too. Yeah, like it's funny how much we gain and how much we lose as society goes forward. We gain all these kind of physical tools and stuff like that, but then we lose a lot of the basic stuff and then our bodies suffer from it. Whether it's just basic nutrients. I mean, walking on the earth without shoes on, things like that. It sounds crazy, but no, seriously, like we don't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah, I remember what I heard the other day, but they were someone said something about being self-sufficient or something like that, and they said it in a frame of mind of like, whether it be like just having a garden or something like that. I'm like, well, that's great, but do you realize really what it would take to be self-sufficient these days? Like,
Man, rough.
people have no idea, and even that, like going as far as like advancing our technologies and being able to do the things we do, like we carry around supercomputers in our pockets. It's impossible for one person to make that thing. Like if we were to lose that knowledge and information,
Yeah.
like I could survive.
Right.
And I feel like that I got probably a leg up
Right.
over most people in the world.
Yep,
Like,
right, right,
like I have a garden and I know how to hunt, but
Yeah. We ain't doing this anymore though.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Your phone, just throw it out because it's not going to be worth anything.
right.
Cass, look this up. There's an island, and I think it's over in British Columbia, and it's like this kind of communal thing where they live off the grid, and there's like maybe, I don't know how many people there are, 200, 300, something like that, but they do everything. Like they're self-sufficient, and so people can come over there and stay with them for a little bit, and they learn all these different skill sets. But what is that? What's the
Cult.
Yeah,
there's a cult, bro.
That's
No,
exactly
it's not a cult. What I'm thinking, what's the page that you go to, like the for the city, if you want to like look something up?
directory.
Maybe.
What do you mean? It's for
Like if you were gonna maybe it's the Chamber of Commerce page or something like that.
Okay.
But their page is pretty funny. It has
they have
someone-
like their own like.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's an island, and I thought it'd be pretty
this it?
pretty cool. Is this it?
Lasqueti?
I said it was off the grid.
Yeah, I think it is.
Squetty Island, Canadian counterculture.
Maybe.
This island community is an enclave of Canadian counterculture. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I wonder-
Do you type in like? I know it's like close to BC. It's off the coast there.
Connected to BC's hydroelectrical power grid. So yeah, that's probably it.
But it's small, and it's like, and that might be it.
Lasquetty
But it's like
Island.
it's all. I think it's self-sufficient, but people go there like learn different things, and there's like scientists and all kinds of people that have just crazy skill sets. And
They're just writing this thing out so when we blow this all up, they're
oh, dude,
Yeah,
they're
they'll
golden.
be-
They're
they'll
like,
be
what do you
just
mean?
fine.
Nothing changed.
They'd be like, huh? Something happened?
yep.
What? I don't
now
know.
it's our time.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lasqueti. Pronounced Lasqueti Island.
Straight up Georgia.
You said that they have some kind of special like page or whatever?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Chamber of Commerce page or something like that. That was.
What was so special about it?
It wasn't special. It was just that basically they were like don't come here and mess things up. Like, you can come here and visit, or they would like ask questions, and their answers were just like pretty sarcastic, and I was like, "That's awesome."
Don't vote for what you're leaving.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Texas, California.
Yeah. Take note.
Not our problem anymore. Your own fault.
I think that'd be awesome to be able to do something like that. We've talked about, well, maybe not we. I've talked about.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've talked about making our own cult, like moving out. Not like
she's not on board.
Yeah, we've discussed
going
this.
through the big D, and I don't mean that.
You can't say cult. That's
But that's the fun part of it though, because we've discussed it on the podcast. We're like, we just have all these words are so. I'm not even gonna say triggering is the wrong word, but to people you say cult or like compound. We have this place out in the middle of nowhere, but like we're basically doing self-sufficient and all those have a community, and then when people show up, it's just like they really think it's like some crazy cult, out in the middle of nowhere, and then they walk in, everyone's got like Hawaiian shirts on.
Oh.
It's just an Hawaiian shirt cult. Like that's
the plot thickens.
Yeah, the craziest thing about it is just that it's a self-sustaining community, and we wear Hawaiian shirts. That's all it is. Only rules.
Interesting.
I don't look good in Hawaiian shirts.
I don't know.
Nobody does. Don't worry about it.
that's the point.
Whoa, Josh.
All right.
You have to wear a hat, Tony.
Okay.
The hat has to complement.
Okay.
I was. Yeah, I mean that's the point though, but anytime you see somebody in a Hawaiian shirt, they're ready to have a good time.
You would hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see too many people in Hawaiian shirts that are in a bad mood. Like all those colors, like it just makes you in a good mood. Who lives
Island residents are accused of trying to put the clock back on Lasketti Island.
The clock back? Oh, accused of trying to put the clock back. Oh, I got what they're saying.
Put the clock back.
I got what they're saying.
Yeah, look at that. Residents represent diverse professions: poets, artists, physicists, consultants, musicians, fishermen,
That's
loggers.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of people that don't want to mess around with people being jerks, basically.
You said population was 425.
Okay. 420, is that the population?
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Yeah, they have a volunteer fire department. Your garbage is your own responsibility. I like that.
I'd be so torn with this stuff too, because like I'm on polar opposites too in terms of like I love like off the grid outdoors stuff, but at the same time I use technology every day too. So I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
your job.
Well, yeah, day job would be kind of if that didn't happen, but even just our phone, you know what I mean? Like you said, like you and YouTube building that table, right? Like we like live in the Matrix right now. Like,
yeah,
really?
Don't get me
seriously?
started.
Oh no, please don't get started.
I mean,
Here we go into the simulation.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Like, when's the last time you didn't know how to do something and then you were like legitimately stumped? Like, I mean, for the most part, it's like I don't know how to do something, and I look it up, and then
you either choose to not do it.
It happens to me on a daily basis when I have to figure out how to address someone by the correct pronouns.
Touche. We're not going to tackle that one.
No,
but
don't get me started. Yeah, don't get Tony started on those.
Yeah,
don't get me started on simulation and aliens.
Yeah.
Don't get Tony started on toxic masculinity and pronouns, because those are the two no-go areas.
Those are both of my big topics I was planning on hitting. So.
I mean, I'm down for all of it, but Tony gets all upset when I'm trying to talk about
You've
aliens.
mentioned your
Bro,
day
I've never
job.
got upset.
What do you do on the side?
On the side?
Yeah, because you mentioned like your
Like
day
hobbies?
job. So does that mean like you do something else like for
You got like
commission work?
a side
Like,
hustle?
Oh
as they
no,
call it?
my wife and I own a vet clinic in North Canton too, so that would be like a second side.
No kidding.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that'd be second quote unquote day job, so to speak. But
So he is an animal person.
oh yeah, we have a lot of animals. Yeah.
Oh, I was going
We
to
have
say
a
that's
zoo. No, we have a zoo. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, we got like some lions and tigers and bears at the
No,
house.
nothing exotic. We just
Yeah.
horses, dogs, cats. Yeah.
That's
No
awesome.
jungle cats in your bathroom.
Not yet. Not yet.
Is your wife a veterinarian?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we like animals, but
That's cool. Do you have so you said you have horses at the house? Like do you have like an area where you have
yeah, my wife's big into dressage, so
what's
kind
that?
of like
What, huh?
dressage.
Ooh,
I know.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever watched the Olympics and they have like competitions where the horses kind of look like they're dancing basically while they're riding them and doing like certain things, different types of trots and canters and things like that.
Okay.
I'm completely making it sound caveman to her right now. I'm sure.
sure.
You know, it's,
Sure.
but that's in a nutshell. That's what what it is.
Oh, because I know what you're talking about. As soon as you said that, but
Yeah.
that's super cool. How do they? I mean, obviously, I'm probably asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
but how do they train the horses? Because I understand like the training the horses, like because we know a few people that do like their kids do, whether it be like the speed barrels and different things, and the different shows and whatnot. But how do you
YouTube videos in the stall, nonstop loops.
Yeah.
All the horses dancing.
Right. Like, you watch this.
like you gotta watch this cat dancing video because then we'll lead up to the horse dancing video.
I'm not a cat.
Yeah.
From what I understand, and again, probably butchering this here, but all of those movements are naturally in a horse's regular cadence on things that they would do naturally anyway. They're just kind of exaggerating them, and then they're just kind of doing them on command too, right? So, like you'll notice, like even if you just kind of like startle a horse or anything like that, they might do a trot that would be more floaty than they normally would when it was just kind of lackluster or they weren't, there was no emotion behind it or whatnot, So it's just they're trying to get those type of movements out of them that are very pretty. That's like whenever they lunge them in an arena or something like that, they're looking for like the natural movements that are already, in the horse.
That's super interesting. I've never heard. Like I said, I've seen it, but I've never heard of him. Somebody that's super cool.
Again, I'm not. I just fix fence and move manure, but
right. But you know more about it than I do.
Yeah,
so.
My wife actually has her gold medal in dressage. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
That's awesome.
Did she grow up with horses? Is that how that started?
She got into it, I think, around college, actually, and just kind of ran with it from there.
Where did she get that at? I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to
be honest with you, I don't know
but
what triggered it necessarily. I just know she got into it at that.
That's super cool.
Around that age, yeah.
Because I've seen we got our daughter like horse riding lessons from like a local person, and their daughter's still in high school, but they do like the fair and stuff, and she's training she does like the not racing but like the maneuverability and stuff, like high speed stuff. Okay. But she like kind of like sold like gift certificates to give people like the horse riding experience. Okay. So like daughter's will be 10 soon, and like she went and like had to like brush the horse and clean the horse's hooves and like and do the whole actually do the whole thing, and then like teach him like how to ride the horse and how to so it's like, but man, those are big creatures.
Oh, that's a lot of muscle, man.
That's a lot.
Things can go south real fast.
Powerful.
I mean, you're talking 1,200 pounds of muscle. That thing, all it takes is one step.
Yeah.
If you're in the stall with them doing it, because my wife breeds them too. So like, if we're doing anything when it's, with breeding and stuff like that, I mean, it's a lot of animal right in front of you there inside of a stall.
Yeah. And people don't realize how powerful they are. Like, we have like an Amish community in this area of Ohio. And, I'm out in the field quite a bit. And so I interact with them and like seeing some of these horses like pulling plows and stuff. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's where the term horsepower came from. Yeah. Like that's exactly what it is. Because that is insane that I don't know if you've ever tried to dig up some ground. Right. But man, that's some power that we just don't understand. That's scary.
Like dragging a blade through the dirt.
Yeah. Like I can't even get the shovel in there.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Well, they have those teams where they'll have like 2 horses and they do the clean logging.
Oh
they'll
yeah.
hook them up and they'll drag these just monster logs out.
Yeah, and then people think like, oh, my pickup truck is so strong. It's like it can't do that.
Right.
you know, modern mechanics is put to shame by these majestic creatures.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I mean. Like some of the stuff that we gain and we lose at the same time. Because that horse can cover terrain that truck can't go over, right?
So that was the horse soldiers in Afghanistan, man. When they did their initial launch, they're like, we can't get any equipment in here, and how are we going to travel? How are we going to traverse this? Gonna ride horses.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's a crazy thing to balance. Yeah.
That'd be pretty gnarly fighting off the horse. It'd be better than shooting a bow, though, off the back of a horse, like shooting your M4.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess, but at the same time, I mean, I'd always be worried about the horse getting hit, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's like there's still the, I want to say there's a culture in Mongolia that still practices a lot of that maneuver, like that.
Mongolian archery?
Yeah, like where they're sliding off the side of the horse and they're full speed off the side of a horse. Like
that was Comanches, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot, but there's still, cultures that still do that to this. I think it's more for sport now than anything. But man, I just saw a story about that probably within the last year. And it was like, what? Like you're sideways on this thing running at full speed? Well, like get out of here.
That's an insane instinctive feel that they're tapping into, or something like that. There's so many things like that humans do that, like, that's another level of like instinct and sensory awareness. Like that's crazy. I mean, you're doing that type of a shot placement on this animal that you can't tell somebody how to do that. Like you can't have, Joe show up here and you're like, okay, know what you're going to do. And you're going to sit on this guy and you're going to pull this back and fling the arrow and you're going to hit the target, right?
Right. While it's running at full speed.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to tell somebody how to do something like that. That's an all feel thing.
I think it's something you got to grow up with and just,
or at least, repetitively burn that into your neuro patterns, right? I mean, that's
yeah. But I know people that, they bow hunt. I mean, just the practice of bow hunting, standing in a stand completely still, and they. I've done it myself.
Oh, I hear you.
Missed an animal from 20 yards away, and it was like,
right.
Well, that was humbling.
Right.
And to be able to do something like that, moving, I don't know, 20 miles off the side of a horse, like, get out here.
I think though at the same time they're tapping into something else because of the activity that's going on, because they're on that horse, and they're like, it stimulates something that while they're doing that activity kind of like heightens in you. It's like that bullet time thing, right? Where your focus gets so pinpoint sharp for whatever reason that you're doing something. And that's why that happens. When you're standing in a tree stand like that, your mind can eat you alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like there's not really anything to kind of pull you out of that moment, other than you're just kind of you against your mind at that point when you're standing in that tree stand.
Yeah. That may be the training. And, I think there's got to be some kind of, I self-admittedly, I don't necessarily believe that animals have feelings, self-admittedly, in the same way that we can. I was looking at her. In the same way, and I will clarify it, in the same way that we perceive our own feelings.
You mean like emotions?
Yeah.
Okay. Not like sensory feelings. You mean
right. Yeah. Emotions.
Okay.
And like, because a lot of people will be like, oh, my dog loves me. My dog needs me. Well, no, the dog just needs a pack leader. But I get it. We don't have to get in there. We don't have to go down that road.
Sure.
But I think there is some kind of bond and connection when doing something like, yeah, I know. You just give me the laser.
Somebody's
eyes,
not getting laid tonight.
But I think there is something that doing something like that, like riding a horse, and there's some kind of bonding connection there that happens that I will say that I don't think we understand.
It's feelings and it's emotions.
And I don't. Oh, thanks, Tony.
You just answered it for your.
I don't even know that I don't necessarily mean between human and animal there as much as the human is tapping into something. This happens in all types of things, like whether it's sports, whether it's, again, I'm just on past experience with like dirt bike riding or whatever it is, some type of adrenaline thing that is happening at such a crazy fast pace, your brain can't function. You can't make a decision that fast. What is it like? The human brain, it takes like, what is it, 250 milliseconds or something like that to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can't, like, if you're riding at a high speed, right? Your brain cannot make a decision that fast. There's no way. So this is all nervous system just taking over in terms of from feeling type of thing.
What was that Malcolm Gladwell book? Was it Blink? Is that what it was? I think there was one, and it touched on that about, and I can relate to that in terms of like racing motorcycles. And it's like, dude, I'm going up like 120 miles an hour around this corner. Like,
right.
There's no reason I should be able to do this. Like, in the same sense, though, like your senses become so attuned that, like, I'd be riding, 70, 80. And dude, I could pay attention and see like a woolly bear crossing the road. And I know that sounds like bullcrap.
No.
But if you've never done it, like you really can. Like, and you were motocross, so you get it, man. And that's even crazier because, at least everything was stable for me on the road. As long as there wasn't gravel for you, it was loose dirt and all kinds of craziness.
And sure. It's whatever that is, like for whatever reason, your focus gets so sharp and tight that things slow down. It's like you could, it's like super slow motion at the same time. It's really bizarre. But I don't think that's your brain. You're not thinking about that when that's happening. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's processing a lot, but it's still, I would agree. Well, I guess my
Is that the negative 5x speed when you're in the Avatar suit? Is that what that is?
He's quit it. Don't you do it to me. No, I think my point with the animals though is that, like a motorcycle or a dirt bike or something else, like you are in full control of that. But an animal it also has it has its own brain. It can essentially do whatever it wanted to. So like I guess I meant by the bond between the rider and the animal of being able to there has to be some level of communication there, and the higher level of communication you have, then obviously with a machine it's only one way. That communication is one way, and that machine does exactly what you tell it to. I always laugh. People are like, "This computer is so stupid."
Right.
No, this computer is only as dumb as the person operating it.
Yeah. Rarely.
Like,
I mean, sometimes.
Well, sometimes it gets a virus because you watch too many whatever things. And, whatever you clicked on the wrong banners. But as far as computers go, like or machines, like they're only as capable as the operator if it's working properly.
Right.
But with an animal, like there's something else there. But I will agree that there's something happening when you're, high speeds or doing something that you're really attuned to that, I don't know what it is. I'm not some kind of whatever, but there's definitely something different there.
Plenty of names for it, right? That higher sense of reality or whatever. I mean, you call it what you want, but it's crazy what the human body can tap into.
Yeah, if you allow it.
But that's getting your mind out of the way. That's 100% of everything, pretty much. Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, anything you do, getting your mind out of the way. But I mean, as far as animals go, I mean, you mentioned emotions and feelings and things like that. I mean, there's definitely a level of trust there that's absolutely happening between both of those beings. There has to be. I mean, the animal's not going to, they have to trust what you're doing. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. I mean, I don't know if you've been around horses, but if they're not going to do something they don't want to do, right? Because they'll run right up to that jump and just stop and send you flying if they don't want to do it. So there's absolutely a trust level there too.
Yeah, it's interesting. The level of trust. I've never really thought about it that way from the animal's aspect.
Yeah,
because you're obviously trusting the animal because it's done this thing repeatedly when you told it to. But
it has to trust you too. It's not going to jump over that hurdle.
It's interesting. That's kind of scary.
Yeah,
you put it that way.
Did that help you out, Cass? So
yeah, I think you just did. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I still don't necessarily think they feel love the same way. But
humans don't feel love the same way.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go. You got me. There you go. Done. Touche. Yeah. All right. There you go. There. Your dog loves you, Castle.
Your dog loves you in a much different way than you love me, and that's
true.
Fine. Yeah. But she wags her tail for me a lot different than she does for you.
Oh, that's
when
absolutely true.
When I pull into the drive with my vehicle, the reaction is much different than when you pull in with your truck.
That's absolutely true.
And
because I've seen it the other.
To believe that it's because she loves me.
That's fine. I mean, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're changing my mind because I have the other. It was the other week.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, you've convinced me. Well, I will say the other week I took her car, and I always teach her because like if I'm home and she's gone, like the dog will just sit out front. She'll literally lay in the middle of the driveway, just like looking out the road. And it's whatever. I will say the other day I took her vehicle somewhere, and as I was pulling back in, the dog was outside and just lost its mind. Even though
you felt the celebrity.
Yeah, even even though she was here.
Yeah, right.
Like it was just like okay, because she doesn't act like this when I pull in my truck. And then like I got out of the car and she's excited, but like, oh, okay. Yeah, like it was like got all excited. And it was like, oh shit, I forgot mom's inside. You're right. Never mind. Like maybe I'm convinced now. There you go.
Yeah. I didn't know you were bringing me here into this family quarrel thing.
I
didn't know that was...
I didn't know either.
I'll change directions of this.
Started it.
So I didn't start it.
Your professor.
My professor from Duke started it, and it was an animal behavior class I took, and she was like, "Listen, animals are all about survival," and she's like, "It has to do with conserving energy for food or reproduction." She's like, "Anything they do, that's why they do it." And she's like, go ahead and fire away and tell me why your dog actually feels emotions. And everyone's like, well, my blah, blah, blah. And she was like, that's why they do this. That's why they do that. That's why they do this. And I'm just like, And I mean, I'm not like a huge animal person. I mean, I'll be around animals, like I'll pet them, I'm nice to them. I don't have that connection, so I didn't have an argument or anything, one way or another. But yeah, she would just shoot everyone down. So
I'd like to ask her a few questions. It'd be interesting, yeah, to talk. Yeah.
So yeah, Josh did a. I'm gonna change up.
Yeah, no, yeah, we can change up.
No, we can talk about whatever. I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask this.
We better stop now because he convinced me that the dog loves her and everything is good in the world.
I don't want to turn the world upside down.
Yeah,
today,
no, you write it up.
You turn that.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. No, I was just gonna say, man, I've always had just super high praise for the work you do.
Oh, thanks.
No, you genuinely helped put us on the map, with the everything, the brand, the videos, the advertising, just everything, man. It's next level. And everyone who sees that stuff feels that sentiment, man. So thank you for everything you've done for the company. I appreciate everything you and your dad have done. What I was going to ask too is, and this helped get like, for us, man, with the business we build, it's always kind of cyclic. It's that symbiotic relationship where if we can hopefully, help someone and that person, back and forth, helping everyone. And that happened with some huge companies, Morbark and Rayco. And they saw what you did for us, and then they reached out to you, and then that came back to us as, hey, do you guys want to help launch this new like chipper and the grinders and all these things? And so thank you for that. I mean, dude, you made us look like rock stars. But what I was going to ask, man, is kind of what's on the horizon that you can talk about. Are you still working with Morbark?
Yeah. We work
kind of. I don't know how much you can talk about, but I was just kind of wondering, like, in and outside of Morbark, like other companies, if you're working with, just whatever you can say. I'm not trying to. If you can't, I get it. I totally get it. I know some of those things you can't talk about.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of it, we can't really, talk about a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, we have been fortunate. I mean, we work with a lot of, local companies from their roots, and that just turns into all these really cool things. It's really fun for us to watch, like a company like you guys. Like, it's a blast working with you guys, right? You start from where you were at and then just grow into what you are now. That's kind of really fuels the fire for us too. You know what I mean? It's just an honor to be along for the ride, something like that. But I mean, there's a lot of cool projects. Unfortunately, though, I can't really. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't. Sorry.
I figured you probably
well, I will say on that note, like, even if it's somebody that didn't know who Rogue Tree Solutions, was, and then I'd be like, oh, like, I have this person. If you're looking at like maybe some advertisement or this, that, whatever, like, hey, check this video out. Yeah. And they're like, wow, like, this is pretty incredible. And then they're like, well, who's this company? Like who? And they're intrigued by the whole thing where it's like, well, who are all these people? And so like there is some of those things where you realize that there's obviously power in advertising and marketing and insane power because it drives money and it drives people coming into the businesses and whatnot. But man, there's something there. Like I see more often than not, people have the same reaction that I did is when they see your stuff and it's like, holy cow. Like, this is really good. Like, what's going on here? Like, I feel like I'm watching a movie. Like, this is awesome. Yeah. And like I said, but it's not overdone. It's like that perfect mix of like, nailed it. Like,
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's at the same time, it's so hard to nail. It's a lot. I mean, it's like with any type of art, it's like food, right? How you like your steak might not be how I like my steak. I mean, although if it's well done, we're not friends anymore. But if it's,
I'm okay with signing on.
If it's moving, I'm chewing.
I mean, it's so hard to. I mean, so much of that emotion stuff is subjective. So yeah, trying to hit that mark of touching somebody like that or making them feel that emotion in ways, it's always tricky. But that's the art of it, at the same time too. But
have you ever thought about doing like any like film, like film stuff?
I'd love to. I just don't think I would like all of the baggage that goes along with it. I guess in today's world would be the word to use.
What about like documentaries or something like that, or some kind of other project that maybe not necessarily is like a movie, but some kind of production where you have more control or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would dig something like that. At the same time, a lot of this comes from I have so many hobbies and I have so many interests that like just something's got to go. Unfortunately, like And I do my day job during the day, and then usually whenever if I get some free time, I want to change some gears. I want to go just stand in a river and hear the water hit the rocks. You know what I mean? Or just something super primal. You know what I mean? To be honest with you. So that's usually where my extra energy goes, or just make noise with music or something.
Right. Is that where the love of the fly fishing? I know we talked about before we started. Is that where that came from? The fly fishing, or?
Yeah. I mean, I really always liked the kind of visceral primal nature of that. Like it's taking fishing and then just making like a direct connection to the fish. You know what I mean? And this is not knocking conventional fishing whatsoever. I mean, I like any type of fishing. I'm not trying to be snobby about just fly fishing or whatever, but I just really like it because it's like a direct connection to the fish. I mean, there's something really cool to me about being in your basement or whatever and tying some feathers onto a hook or making a pattern and then going out and tricking some old fish to chase it down. You just mentioned like they're calculating in their mind whether this is worth spending the calories on or not. You are tricking this old fish that has been in the system for a while to say, yes, this is worth spending the calories to go chase down this fish, right? That's supposedly fish, right? And eating it in a primal way. It's not just like you're drifting this offering down the river and they just go, slide over and bloop. I mean, they are expending energy to chase it down and aggressively attack it. And that's really gets my blood going.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier, or at least we talked about before we started recording, like, I don't know. I know like deer hunting enough to have a conversation about it. That's pretty much where my information stops. Like I know how to do all those things. Yeah. My fishing skills are fairly terrible. I enjoy doing it. Yeah. But I don't know I know that because I've talked to people that are really into fishing, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what fishing's all about. Sure. Yeah. So I know even less about fly fishing. So what's special about fly fishing in general and compared to like normal fishing?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, just from the mechanics of it, it's kind of the exact physical opposite, right? So with conventional fishing, you have an unweighted line and you have a weighted object, like which would be the lure or whatever that you're casting out, right? So that lure is pulling the line out to wherever you're casting it at. Does that make sense? Like if you're throwing a rock and there's a line attached to it. Fly fishing is the exact opposite. You have a weighted line that is carrying your offering out to the fish. So it's a complete physical opposite in terms of how you're presenting it. Now that means that you have other options then when you're presenting a fly. With a conventional tackle, realistically, you only have a weighted offering that you can give to a fish, which means anytime you have something that's weighted in water, well, the first thing that you stop adding action or tension to that, what's it do? It just dives, right? So that means pretty much the only presentation you can do other than a floating topwater thing, subwater, is that it's going to have to jig, right? So it pretty much limits you to this. Again, my opinion, but from a fly fishing standpoint, you have this weighted line that you can throw out there and it will sink, right? And you can make an unweighted fly.
So the line's a lot bigger.
Oh yeah, it's a lot bigger. I don't know if anybody's ever seen them, but I mean, a fly fishing line, depending on what weight you're using, but they're thick. I mean, like literally, like you could roll it in your fingers. It's big. It's not a thin little, like a conventional fishing
and there's no
string.
reel or anything.
Yeah, there's a reel on it.
Oh, so there is a reel.
Yeah, there's a reel. It's
all I can think about when I think of fly fishing is like some old dude out in giant waders, and he's got the rod in one hand, and he's got the line all the way out in his other, and he's like doing this thing, and I don't know what he's doing.
Right. Yeah.
He's like doing this bullwhip motion.
Right.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and that's false casting above their heads. What they're doing, what they're trying to do is every time they pull back like this, they let go of a little bit more line. They cast forward, they let go of a little bit more line. They pull back, so they're making it longer, right?
Light bulb.
Yeah,
I get it now.
A conventional casting, you could just flick it to it, and it carries it to it, right?
Right.
Yeah, with a fly line, you have to kind of just work that out there, right?
Okay.
That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're trying to make the
Learn
cast longer.
something
Yeah.
even more new today.
Right.
That makes sense now.
But yeah, so what that ends up letting you do though then is you can put a fly in the water and do different types of presentations, because if something's unweighted in the water, it's going to do a lot more dippy divey stuff like this, and you can do a lot more natural looking presentations that a fish would normally do.
And by presentations, just so people can understand that understand fishing even less than I do,
sure,
is that when a fish is in the water, and it's looking to eat something, the presentation is what does this bait look like?
Yeah.
What is it doing? Does it act like a fish, or is it just like something sitting on the top of the surface, like a mosquito or something like that? It's going to jump up and get its presentation is what is the bait doing to make it look to the fish, hey, that looks like dinner.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what a fish is doing in a stream all day, right? I mean, they always, for the most part, face upstream, right? Unless they're in an eddy or something, but they're facing upstream in the current like this, right? And they're usually just kind of out of it till they can kind of relax. And they're just constantly all day watching this kind of escalator of things go by them right, that they could eat or not. So they usually kind of reach out and they'll touch stuff with their mouth or not. Just if they think it's food, they'll touch it for a second. Just to kind of eat things, right? Whether it's bugs or nymphs or whatever floating down. So yeah, anytime you're presenting something to them when you're fishing, what you should be thinking about is how are you making this look when this comes into view to this fish for the first time all day? And if you're chasing like predatory fish and you're trying to find the big boys in the system that are going to attack something, then you need to make basically what you're doing is you're taking that fish, you're slapping it down to get their attention, and you're running away. You're trying to make it look like panic. Like this thing is like
oh, I saw the big fish. I gotta get out of
just
here.
Messed up. I shouldn't be here, and run away.
So I'd imagine there's a big difference too between like fishing, because I don't know deep sea fishing either. I don't understand how that works, but I see there being a very big difference between like pond and lake fishing than stream fishing, because there's not a constant one-way current in a pond or like a stream. So are they like, do those like create like, I would imagine they create like different habits in the fish and create different fish and the action. So you have to understand all of those.
Yeah, river fishing is all about reading the water and seeing and knowing what hydraulics do and what you're seeing on the top of the river, what it means is going on below the river, like whether it's structure, rocks, or whatnot, and where a fish might be. I'm not a strong stillwater fisherman, be it ponds or lakes, so I can't speak at length on that. It's just I've always really liked the river type of thing, but yeah, it's a completely different animal, stillwater fishing versus river fishing. So if I go with a buddy stillwater fishing, I'm like, all right, you got to tell me what I'm going to be holding, because I don't know.
Like it seems like if I were just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, I could look at what you've said and going, okay, it seems like there's a lot more depth to like river or stream fishing in a sense, as far as there's.
That's my bias, but again, I don't.
Yeah, so I guess it goes back to the geeking out about something.
Yeah,
I can connect with that. So it looks like okay, well, normally I have a fish and I have options of lures and different things, and I have water. Well, in stream fishing or river, I have fish, water, the options of lures, but now the water's moving. It seems like one more additional layer of complication. So I could see the understanding of your bias.
I mean, I
never thought about it that way.
Well, you also got to think about too. You can give your position away very easily in a river. If you're approaching a fish downstream, right? Anytime you touch the bottom of a river, like there's sediment that comes off,
it moves.
They know when they see sediment just float in front of them. If it's not like this constant thing, if they see sediment, they know something's in the river, so it instantly alerts them. The big fish in the system don't get that big by being dumb.
Right,
they're pretty sharp. You
just
know what
like
I mean?
Deer and anything else. Yeah. They don't get big racks. They don't get mature.
This is the exact same thing as trophy hunting for deer. It's the exact same things in terms of the mentality that usually people are chasing down. In terms of like, you don't shoot a Pope and Young whitetail if you shoot the first thing that you see. You know what I mean? Every season, right? That's not the same thing.
Right.
You don't get one of those. So, kind of approaching fishing in this way is the exact same type of mentality.
And I would imagine by just what you said, there's got to be a difference between. Do you ever fish downstream? Is that the right? Because like I would think it'd be easier to fish upstream because you're not disturbing. Because when you're disturbing downstream. So, but do you fish both?
Yeah.
And I would imagine those are probably two very different things as well.
Yeah, and there's not like I'm going out today and I'm only fishing downstream, or I'm going out today, I'm only fishing upstream. It's when you're like, you might generally work like down a stretch of river, but you might be wading through a section, and if you might be seeing something coming up, like a log jam or whatever, and just the way things are flowing and the color of that water, something might be holding in that. You don't want to you're not going to have a good presentation downstream to it. You need to get out, go down, walk around, and then fish it either directly across or upstream. So yeah, it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic.
Learn something new every day. I love it. I totally, like I said, I'm not necessarily a fisher.
Sure.
Fisher.
Fisherman?
What do they call an angler?
Yeah.
An angler. Yeah, I knew I'd pull that word out. But I could see the appeal to that. See, that seems more fun. The same thing I was telling you, like, to me, like bow hunting. There's an extra layer of, I'll use the word harvesting a deer with a compound bow.
Yeah, I agree.
Versus a crossbow and I'm not trying or a gun or a rifle, not just a shotgun, but like a rifle. You can reach out 150, 200 yards. Like I'm not discounting. I'm not trying to discount people that do that. It's just there's just something special about having the extra layer of difficulty of drawing the bow back and that breath work and going okay, or the wind and calculating all those things and doing.
Yeah.
So I get it.
That's exactly what it is. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
You guys hunt them and hook them. I'll eat them.
Yeah. that being said, I don't keep anything ever, but yeah.
No, not even to eat or anything. Or
I mean, to be honest with you, the only time I'd keep like some maybe smaller fish. I'm not gonna keep if I'm targeting those type of guys. I'm not gonna like those big old guys that have been earned their way in the system for that long. I'm not gonna pull them out of there from that. I don't know. I just feel like
I can respect that.
just you want to keep on passing the genes down.
Yeah, I mean, those are big boys they earned, or females. Either way, they've earned their spot where they're at, in my opinion. So I'll to be honest with you, even if I move them and I see them and they chase my fly and I get that's enough for me. Like it just gets my blood going. I don't even have to land them. That's enough, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love fish, but I'd take a medium, 12-inch run of the mill guy as opposed to.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I just see a lot of that because I'm the same way. Like most of the time, like maybe not most. They don't really make fun of me, but like I said, I learned hunting from my in-laws for the most part.
Yeah.
And when I go out there, it's
Good teachers.
Yeah. when I go, if it's brown, it's down.
Yeah.
Because I go out for one, just the love of doing it. Two, just to sit in the woods when it's completely quiet and there's nothing. Like I just like the silence of it. And then three, like I'm going to harvest meat. Mm-hmm. Like that's not the only reason, but like that's a main reason for me is like, well, I want to feed my family and I want to be able to do that. So I don't go out and trophy hunt. Like if a trophy comes, like I might take it, but like as long as it doesn't have spots. And most of the time, like I enjoy, like I would say the majority, if not at least half of the deer that I've got have been either older where they have like the one I got had like a deformed rack where it was like, look, like genetically, sorry, you got the short end of the deal. Like I don't feel bad. Right. Not feel bad, but you know what I mean? It's like, or it's, some of the ones are just like, cause I'm not that great of a hunter either. So if you're dumb enough to get tricked by me, sorry, bro.
No guards on duty at the gene pool. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? Maybe I'm doing the gene pool a favor by eating you. So, but I can understand this. Sorry,
What's no? I was just gonna ask what your guys' favorite fish was to eat.
Salmon, hands down.
Salmon.
Yeah.
I don't think I can like rightfully answer that question, but I do enjoy a good salmon. I think I like the flakiness of it. I like it's weird. I like a fish I like it almost like overcooked, where it's like dry. Same thing as like it's not.
He's like, now we're not best friends.
Yeah.
No, not like
you just lost a lot of points, bud.
Yeah, well, maybe not overcooked is the word, but I like it that flakiness to it.
Yeah,
where it flakes off. Like I like my steaks medium.
Yeah,
maybe medium rare, but like the flakiness of it, the texture is really appealing to me. I don't like it burnt, but like,
I think you're probably just talking to we usually put a crust on salmon in terms of like when you saute it in oil, that the fats in the fish are going to crust the outside. That means you're searing it in, and then the inside stays moist.
Yes.
So then it's still that natural texture of that meat, the tissue of the fish is going to flake away while the outside is still crispy.
Yeah, maybe dry was it. It was a little bit of aggressive.
Dry
term.
fish is not ringing it. Not...
Yeah, dry was an aggressive term.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah,
the flakiness of it, keeping that that texture.
That's usually because a lot of people that cook fish, for all intents and purposes, they're boiling it in the pan.
Which is terrible.
You need to saute that thing.
Yes, that's well, like I told you, I'm not an angler, bro. I don't know this stuff. I will say though, I remember the one time we were in Florida and her dad and brothers caught I want to say red flounder, but I don't think that's right.
Redfish?
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember. It was years ago too, but it was the first time I'd had like fresh, like deep sea, fish. And it was like, and they, filleted it up there and like brought it back to the place we were staying, like cooked it right away. It was like, I could get into this. This is good. Yeah. But most people are like, oh, you mean fish like canned tuna? I'm like, I eat a lot of I like canned tuna too, but that's completely different, two different things. Like those are not as, I don't think it falls in the category of like fish.
Or they'll fry it too, which I mean, nothing against fried fish. I like occasional fried fish, but like it doesn't matter with the fish. You're frying it. You know what I mean? It completely masks the profile of that fish. You know?
You're just eating crunchy grease.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing.
What's your favorite, Tony?
You guys care if I hit the restroom here? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. We'll take a little breaky break. I told you.
Chugged more water than I thought before we.
It's more of a traditional rye. So this one being aged in those Caribbean. So I think that one has a similar a little bit more of a similar profile to the Red Best.
Okay.
In terms of like sweetness and maybe I don't know about texture. I haven't had that one for a long time. But
It seemed like there was more layers to that one than this guy.
I'll have to try. I don't know if I've tried that. What's that? What
so,
was that?
dude, if you want one that's definitely different, try the Willet next. Like, and maybe like try it neat and then throw a cube in to see what it does.
Okay, I'm not nice whiskey guy.
Yeah. No, it's all right, man. For me, it's drink it however you want. Like,
Okay, I'll put some water in it to open it up. But
Yeah.
I won't,
Take it with 4 cubes if you want. Well, that might be a little. Aggressive. That's just, now you're just hydrating yourself at that point.
Yeah, right. Counteracting. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have some ice over there if you want some.
Oh, I guess
that's
perfect. I was gonna say, I was going to ask if you knows that. Yeah, my wife won't even let me drink that one on the couch with her.
Just because it smells like there's a burning log on the couch.
The smell of that.
It does. Yeah. Did you? You haven't tried this one,
It's stout, brother.
No. So I'm not. I'm not huge on the smoke.
You can smell it. You can smell like the.
It just reminds me
It
of like
smells
autumn.
like
autumn campfire.
It smells like a campfire.
Yeah, so
yeah, it really does.
This company makes one called Campfire.
Okay.
Literally, and I've tried it before, and I'm like, dude.
I don't think you would like it. I haven't even tasted it yet. I don't think you're gonna like it.
Strong, but I don't.
Yeah. When I smell that, face fucked by a dragon. That's what I get.
See, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, that's incredibly smoky.
Yeah, it's a bomb. That is.
That is.
I need some chocolate, some graham crackers, and some s'mores.
Yeah, well, that's what you can almost like. I wouldn't drink a bunch. I mean,
sure.
I suggest not drinking a bunch of any of them.
Right.
You know,
right.
But
Speak
I
for
think
yourself.
like if you had like something to pair it with, I think to me like this would be something like I would pair it with something.
It's pretty
Because it's almost gives
salmon.
You, like,
yeah.
You don't even need to smoke it. You're like,
maybe like yeah, exactly. Like this would not be something. This one I wouldn't pair with a cigar because that's a lot of overload. You know, but it almost tastes like I'm like smoking a good liquid cigar.
Smoke,
it's
smoke on the water right there.
It's pretty. It's good for like cold, chilly days, kind of like today. To be
Yeah, I
honest
can
with
see
you.
that.
Yeah, I have to be in the mood for that. I mean, I can't like mow the lawn and come in and like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, no, buddy.
Yeah, no, I do like the what it offers. I guess it's something different.
I figured I'd bring it. It's unique, but yeah.
I'll try it here in a second.
Yeah,
I'll do it at the end definitely because it's that's all you'll taste.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had anything that smoky before.
Yeah, that's
when people say smoky. That's
their thing. Ardbeg is known for that. That's what they.
I like it though. It's a nice little experience.
It's different.
Have you talked with Corey recently? Did he tell you?
I helped him with a computer problem the other day. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he tell you we're getting a new piece of equipment? So we'll probably. I'm guessing he's probably going to want you to do a pretty cool video for it. So it's
he's got to flex that all over.
Oh
the place.
yeah, dude. You know how Corey is.
What
like,
is this? What is
loudest, biggest, everything.
That's good. I'm all about it. I
know.
All or nothing.
It's called I think it's called the MRT. So it's a telehandler. So it's like you know what a telehandler is?
No, I have no clue.
So got the 4 wheels and like imagine kind of like a forklift that you can lift things high.
Okay.
Like JLG, things like that. So you can drive
like a skylift?
Yeah, kind of. So you can drive it around, but it still has a boom arm.
Okay.
And you can put different attachments on the end of it.
Okay.
So this one's pretty big. I think it weighs like 50,000 pounds.
What?
Yeah, he got the big boy.
Wow.
But on it's got the boom, and I don't remember the exact specs on this thing, but it goes out. I think it's called MRT. MRT. So it goes out pretty far, but it's got the.
What could she?
There you go. Manitou MRT.
Is that the same company that makes that spider lift that you guys
No,
have?
no.
Oh,
Thank God. Thank God it's not.
Oh, really? Oh.
We got to
open a can of worms.
Not a can of worms, man, but they had an issue with welds.
Oh.
And we definitely had a weld that wouldn't pass inspection, so it was down for a while, and it's a recall thing that they've been doing.
No way.
And we've had a lot of problems with sensors and stuff on that thing.
Really?
And so, so that thing has a grapple and a saw on the end of it, and you remote control. Just go ahead.
So I was gonna say that's a new piece of equipment they're making, right? Is it because Corey said that they were making something they hadn't made before, and they were like,
"There's a
was that one that they were talking about?"
There's a local company that has 2 of them. They're a little bit smaller than that model.
Well, I mean, the same company?
Yeah, it's the same
Okay,
company.
well, because I feel like he was saying that like.
I mean, they're probably newer, but I mean, there's definitely someone that has 2 of them. So
Okay,
it's
I feel
local.
like also, sorry, Corey. I was having a conversation with Corey, so it felt like the machine that you guys were getting was like, I mean, it's something that you couldn't like. It was a newer kind of like bigger, better model that they haven't done before.
I don't know that. I didn't have a conversation with the manufacturers or anything like that. But
all I know is he said it could make giant picks.
It can. So basically, that thing you can set it up on a roadside, and they have other things like the Mechanils, but they're based on a truck.
Okay.
This thing can go off road. And it can crab walk, and it can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's got the 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering, and it booms out, and it's like grabs it, saw inside, cuts it, picks it up, sets it wherever you want it.
And it was big picks too, from what I remember him saying. I don't remember exactly what he was saying.
Thousands and thousands of pounds.
I want to say it was like, what was it like? I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm probably wrong. But it was I'm thinking like 4,000 to 6,000 pounds at like 110 feet.
Yeah, no way.
Oh, it was something.
Holy smokes!
Maybe it was 2,000 pounds, but it was something at 110 feet. It like I was like,
I think it was 2,800, but you have to account for the weight of the head too.
Oh, okay. But still 2,000.
No, it was and that's
like
what I think.
even,
that's
like,
what I think it was. It
maybe
was
that's,
like
that's
2,000, 2,200 pounds. At
at 110 feet.
That's
like,
crazy. The leverage.
I was like, well, that's what I told him. I was like, basically, I was like, you guys don't need a crane anymore.
No,
unless you
really.
have to like reach over and down across something.
Okay.
But like, man, like to be able to cut 200 or to be able to cut 2,000 pounds of tree and move it with one piece of equipment at 110 feet, like.
Does it have like stabilizers on it, or what's it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Big time.
God.
Big time.
I was like, that's wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are they like independent wheels? Where are they? Just front and
I
rear?
think from what he was saying, that the front and back moved independently.
Okay.
So I think you could like turn them sideways.
Not 4 independent wheels.
Crab
but
walk type
2.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Crab walk it in direction.
Like the electric Hummer.
That's sick. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds. So it looks like if not Corey, you're gonna have to have him make a commercial for
There you
yourself.
go. Custom.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But no, I'm sure he's going to want, and we'll pitch it out to the DOT work, and then he became a federal contractor as well.
Oh, sick.
So for the federal contracts and stuff. So
Nice.
hopefully we'll keep that thing busy. And I honestly have a feeling that once that thing gets rolling, I mean, if you get one of your videos going on this thing, like, dude, we're probably going to be buying another one in a year or two. Like,
Hey, it's a good problem to have.
It'll probably happen. Yeah.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about it. That's sick. That's cool.
Yeah, it's hard because I think it's hard to find because she's looking for the specs on it, but I think it's hard. I feel like the one that he was getting because of COVID and everything else, like they were having problems getting parts from what he was telling me.
There was one left for the whole year, they said, because we were trying to decide between the smaller one or this one, just because of the footprint and working off of the like the outrigger spread, working off the highway and stuff, and. The bigger one, they were like, hey, if you don't take this one, you won't get one for almost like a year. Wow. And I'm like, okay, guess we're getting the bigger one.
Got sold, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was because he said something about how they had planned on like shipping out like 15 or something like that through North America, but then like they just couldn't get the parts because of all the shutdowns and whatnot. So he was like, they're like, hey, like we have one.
Yeah, and that was
wow.
You're the first one on the list that gets to claim
so
it if you do. So better tell us now.
Yeah,
and that was the other thing. So it's not.
Of course, they probably just told him that because they knew Corey. He's
Probably.
like, yeah, I get the only one.
I get the only one.
Yeah, sign me up.
$400,000.
Yeah,
just do it.
Ouch, it hurts.
It
hurts bad.
No. So I do know that he said that there's construction companies that use them. I mean, imagine you're trying to.
Because you
heavy
can
loads
change
and
the
stuff.
head to like forklifts or crane or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, or even
Probably set a roof with that thing.
Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff. And so construction companies were planning on getting more of these too, and they were like, yeah, we can't get them, and they were pissed. They were pissed.
Yeah, well, especially because I'm sure their budgets now, they'd be able to get them as expensive as everything is. Construction company, it's wild.
What do you mean, bro? They just print more money.
Yeah, just print more, right?
What are we up to 40% printed this year? Is that what we're at?
I don't
Of all
know.
dollar bills?
It's wild though. They just keep printing more. I don't know what to do with it.
Gross.
Whatever. What do you do?
Gross.
Josh, you're obviously a tech guy, man. Are you into the crypto world at all?
I'm not, buddy. I know like
Zero
about that.
Okay,
I mean, I
that's
really
surprising.
He's already got too
Yeah.
many hobbies.
No, I know.
It's
I know.
really well, like I feel like at some point, like you start learning stuff, and then something else has to leave,
Yeah,
and I'm like
yeah.
terrified of what I'm gonna lose. You're like, I'm not gonna be able to tie my shoes next day.
Turn into Einstein. can't make change for this 20.
Yeah, right.
I understand that.
Yeah, it's
I
not
understand
a.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's another thing too we got going on is because of like technology. There's so much coming at us.
Yeah.
All the time, and there's developing so many things. You know, I was actually got the chance to be on somebody else's podcast, and they were talking about all these different things, and it was aliens. So we don't have to get into
No,
that.
that's fine.
But it was
right up my alley, brother. Go ahead.
You guys are best friends.
but the idea was that, like, you know, we had this at one point we're talking about like the technology and the advancements and you know, understanding all these different things that saying, hey, like this is a thing, and people are like, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean it's not becoming a thing. Like in the advancements of I make the joke a lot of when, you know, just after high school, I'm aging myself here, just after high school is when the first camera phones came out. And it was like, I remember the first thing I thought was, who wants a camera on their cell phone?
Right? Yeah.
What a dumb idea. This is the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I know. Can you imagine not having it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I still don't, I realize though, I'm getting pushed into the old man category because like,
Yeah.
I have like a Facebook, all these things, but like I don't use them. I don't like my first thought of if something crazy were to happen, my first thought is not to grab my phone and turn the camera on. Like my first thought is sitting there, I'm gonna watch this. Right. This is interesting. Yeah. Like this is wild. Or like what you see is like people at concerts. I'm one of those old men going, why do you have your phone out at a concert? Live the moment. Watch it. Why would you record on your phone? Because who are you gonna show that video to? I don't know, but it's wild to see, like, and that's what happened in the last 20 years.
Oh, it's crazy quick. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine not having it now? Even if you just strip it down to just the whole, like, searching for knowledge thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just that alone. I mean, are you ever stumped, like I said, with that thing? Like, it's, how many times you've been working on
break
something?
out the Encyclopedia Britannicus, bro.
Yeah.
Dude,
he said, like, now
the newest volume.
I do it with Tony all the time. He'll, like, use a word, and I'm like, oh, my God, what
Yeah,
that means.
he'll talk. He'll talk, and I'll be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on. I got to Google what that word means real quick.
I got to catch up. I'm still,
yeah.
I like my words and bourbons, bro.
Yeah.
It really is. But that's the kind of person I am. Like, I hear a word, and I'm like, what's that mean? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And I stop listening to whatever else is happening.
Eat you alive. Yeah.
Fine. All right. You got me. I got to Google it. But yeah, we have the whole knowledge at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah, it's a double-edged sword because it's information, but it's also the disinformation age too, though, right? I don't know how deep you want to get into that stuff, but
I mean, we can get as deep as you want.
So hold on. If you're gonna dive in there, before you dive in there, you're obviously into the marketing and the advertising and things like that. So I wonder what how do you feel about this, or what's your take on, like, man, just the whole, like, Facebook and collecting information and I mean, like, literally I've said things before and all of a sudden they just pop up on my phone and I'm like, I didn't search them. And I'm like, what?
yeah,
This is ridiculous. Like, what's your take on all that, man, in terms of, because I feel like in terms of marketing and advertising, like, you'd be considered a traditionalist, if you would, like.
Yeah, I don't know what the word would be. To be honest with you, I don't fit into that category. I didn't fit in at, like, school. You know what I mean? At all. I mean, for stuff like that, because, like you said, kind of an outlier.
You're as divergent as they get, man, and I love it. I love it. Kindred souls. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with social media in general, because, I mean, on one hand, it is such a good tool from a marketing and advertising standpoint. It's just incredible. At the other time, I'm gonna just say it's a disease for our civilization too. At the same time,
say it louder for the people in the
back.
back.
I mean, so to be honest with you, I mean, if I would have to choose of whether it was here or not here, I'd rather it not here.
Yeah.
If it was one or the other, I think there's more harm that comes out of it, and it's for our kids. I'm just terrified for our kids. You know, really. I mean, what the world's going to be like. I mean, nowadays, like, this kid, you know, he goes to school, whatever, and Tommy's a jerk to him at school, right? And he goes home, and it doesn't end that day. It doesn't end because Tommy's a jerk to him on social media all night or whatever it is. It never ends, right? I mean, he doesn't get to go home and reset, you know, with his loving parents in the evening. feel good about himself, or herself, and go back to school the next day, and kind of rebuild. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just constant wearing down, constant like second judgment, constant, am I good enough? Constant, am I comparing myself to other people, comparing my life to other people? It's just, man, I could go on a rant.
No, please do. Well, I think that's the biggest thing too with kids. It's really easy for me, because my first response would be, well, shut it off, turn it off, block the guy, forget about it.
Right.
But, kids can't do that because we forget about what it's like to be a kid, that, you have to, and I'm going to use general terms, but you have to have all the things other kids have.
Right.
When we were young, it was, well, I have to have this kind of brand of jeans to fit in. And now, like,
you got the Jenkos, bro?
I did. I did.
Dating ourselves on that one.
I sure did.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to go pick out clothes, and I grew up fairly not financially well off, as wordy as that was. But I remember I used to go shopping for jeans, and when my mom and I would go shopping for jeans, I would the very first thing I did was grab the bottom of them, and I had it measured out where I would put my hand in one side, and it like I had to get to a certain point. And it was like, and if I couldn't even like get past like my wrist, I was like, no, Mom, these aren't cool jeans. I can't wear these. They're too tight on my ankles. And then, a few years later, skinny jeans were a thing, whatever. But, but like that was, it just shows you like in the mindset of a kid, like it's really hard to break out of that.
That's their whole world.
Yeah. Like, and plus like when you hit to that 10 to 12 to 13, like your body starts doing things that it doesn't care what you think about it or not. And it's going to do the things. So you have to like, even if you're the kid that you know what, they don't have social media. Oh, well, those are the weird ones.
Exactly.
He or she, that kid's weird. They don't even have social media. Well, okay. So they get it. And then you have that jerk. You have, Tommy's being mean to Billy or whatever. And then it's, okay, block him. Oh, Billy blocked me. Yeah. What are you, some kind of pansy? Like, there's no end to the amount of cruelty that kids have for other kids.
Tommy's dad didn't wear a mask, dropping him off at school.
Or Billy's dad wore 2 masks.
Yeah, right. Either way,
like they're gonna find something to be super cruel, and it's weird. Like, is it? I often like wonder. Like, I think sometimes we need a little bit of that. You need a little bit of abrasion to get tough skin, but. Man.
But it's when it's incessant like that. I mean, don't you wish you could just like grab your kids and like sit down and like, look.
None of this is gonna matter.
I'm telling you, this is not your life. You know what I mean? Like, you were gonna have people around you that love you. You were gonna build an empire around yourself. Just get through this. I mean, like, but I agree, like in terms of like toughness, like a human needs a certain amount of toughness too. You know what I mean? To be able to survive. I mean, you need to, so
got to walk without your shoes on.
We all need, right? Exactly. You gotta walk without your shoes on, brother. Yeah. I mean, we need people in our life that are going against us just as much as we need people that are going with us too, because that shapes you. But when it's lopsided one way or the other, bad things happen. Either way, you're too soft, or you just. I mean, anybody's gonna buckle under that type of pressure. Yeah. I can't imagine growing up as a kid nowadays, like being that mentally tough, like. I mean, to be honest with you, if any kid comes out of childhood nowadays normal or with a quote unquote normal, whatever that means, right. but if you come out with a straight track in mind and you are confident in yourself, that's why I say it's normal. Like, if you are confident in your own body when you get out of your childhood, man, more power to you, brother. Because but the kids that can do that, man, they have to just be monsters. I mean, I'm saying that monster in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you are a powerhouse.
Yeah, because I didn't even have what we have now, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
I
mean, childhood was hard.
How old are you have 1, 2?
I have 2. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
So my son will be 4 here in a couple days, and then my daughter will be 3 in October.
Ooh.
So Kyrie will be 10, and this is the 3rd grade was
rough.
Those conversations.
The hardest, yeah.
It was just the girls in her home. There were less kids because some were doing remote learning, and a couple of there were only like 6 girls in her class. Well, 3 of them were all in the homeroom. In grade 2, so she was like, she was kind of left. Things that we never had to deal with emotion-wise, 1st and 2nd grade. And I thought, oh my God, she's 9, and this is already starting. And she's an only child, and so she tends to be, I'll call it a leader. Others might call it bossy.
Sure, no,
especially
especially
just trying to
my daughter.
cultivate
Yeah, I
it.
hear you.
Yeah,
And so it's so hard, but we've had those conversations like, it doesn't, dude, it's third grade. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But you can't also ignore it because for her,
Nope.
this is
that's
her
life.
whole world.
Yeah.
So it's such a tedious.
You can't belittle it at the same time.
Yeah, you can't
Exactly.
dismiss
Yeah.
it.
Because
Or,
then
It's
she's
rough.
not going to come home
It's
and
rough.
share things with us because if
Right.
we don't care, but also we have to let her know that
Yeah.
it won't matter. It's really
Yeah.
really hard.
I think
mean,
that's. Oh, go ahead, please.
I mean, honestly, coming home and knowing mom and dad love you at the end of the day, like that is such a huge thing. That foundation that if kids don't have that, I mean, then they're going to be lost. You know,
Right.
at least if they have that at the end of every night, they have something to go back into the trenches every day.
yeah,
You know?
and it's hard too because like as parents, like you don't, at least in my mind, you don't want to be just all love because you have to be
Right.
like, hey, all right, well, this person was mean to me or this person didn't want to play with me. Well, maybe you were being a jerk
Right.
too. Like, so you have to like try to like as a parent like balance this. And I, I've heard some people say like, my dad used to say, "I'm your dad, not your friend,"
Yep.
and I get that. And
Totally.
and some people that like their dad was their friend
Right.
and there wasn't really a dad, like that screws you up just as
Yep.
same. So it's like
Yep.
trying to balance this, like particularly with
I think it's
everything.
like a rite of passage thing, though, right? You get to a certain age and your dad can be your friend, is what it ends up being. Because, like, yeah, your dad can't be. I mean, and you can take anything any direction you want in terms of pushing things to extremes. But I'm saying, like, yeah, your dad can't be your friend in terms of like he's not there to just be on your side all the time.
Yeah.
that's not what you're there for, right? I mean, we're all giving it our best shot at this thing, and it's crazy circus. Dude, you can't write this stuff. You know what I mean? That happens with kids, right? You can't make it up. I mean, I mean, we're all giving it our best shot, but at the same time, yeah, you need those parents to be able to have two different types of figures come together and give you the best out of both of them is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of times that means whether it's hard on them, whatever you want to call it. But then you get to a certain age and the kid starts to see that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, at my age, I mean, best friends with my dad, you know what I mean? I can't imagine, so, but I think you have, like I said, it's like a rite of passage. You get to a certain age and then you can do that. You know what I mean?
Right. As a
The
parent,
dad doesn't have to worry about any more like, you need to climb this hill,
Yeah,
son.
he completed his job.
Yes, right. Not
as
like
the
now.
father or the mother, and now it can be a friend that
I
knows you well.
gave you what I know. We're in it. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have to sit there and tell you to do this, climb that hill, son, or whatever. He knows what you're kind of doing. Now you can climb that hill next to you, or at least be at the bottom and be like, get it, you know?
Yeah. I got bad knees, bro.
Right. Yeah.
I'll cheer you up.
Yeah. So,
Well, I think that's too, like, this literally just hit me. I've never been necessarily I'm trying to think how to say this. I fall in weird lines as far as different ideologies go. But I've never necessarily been a household, to succeed needs a mother and a father, and they need to have this traditional family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as you're talking about those things, like it kind of makes you realize, because and maybe I'm skewed because I didn't grow up in a household like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to prepare like a child, like it's hard, like I said, to be the friend and to be the person going, hey, you're kind of screwing up too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what a good friend is. But a kid doesn't understand that. To a kid, a friend is the person that's nice and the person that supports you, and the bad person or your parents are the person that kind of keeps you in line. And so to be those two things, like, but with a mother and a father or whatever that are, it's a team helping to raise the kid, they can kind of play both of those roles, not simultaneously, but oppositely, saying, all right, well, it's always that joke of your turn to be the bad guy, and now it makes sense because they both need those things, and they need those things, both of those from the parent, like to really be able to grow up and to say, okay, they gave me what I needed.
Yep.
Now we can be friends. Like it's a really cool concept. Like I never really like put those pieces together like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely a team thing, and it takes two different types of people together to give you the best of each. It's crazy. I mean, realistically, what you're doing, one person grows another human being in their body. Like, I can't even imagine that task. You know what I mean? Like, that is crazy. You are more people than you were before. You know, like,
I never thought about it like that. You split your cells so many times. You created another person.
Yeah, right.
That is wild.
Yeah.
You're more people than you ever were before. I love that. I've never heard it put like that before. Coining it.
It's
like
crazy. That's all you can say. It's crazy. You know?
I don't get it.
I mean, it's rough, but it's beautiful at the same time.
Going back to what you said, man, about like you can't even write this script. It's so crazy right now for kids and stuff. Corey asked one of the best questions that anyone ever asked on this show, and we've asked he asked us and we asked a couple other guys. So I figured I'd ask you, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you knew that like, hey, you weren't going to be around, but you had to leave your kids with, you know, some wisdom or a piece of advice for the rest of their lives, what would that be? If you need to come back to it too,
that is a bomb.
Yeah,
brother.
it's a huge bomb.
He was like, "I'm going to ask this question."
Yeah, and we were like,
he was like, "If you could say one thing, like one bullet point," and we're like, "Okay," like. And
it was Corey, so we're like, it's not going to be serious.
Yeah, usually
so.
like
Dude,
we
that's
expect
a heavy
something
one.
crazy. Yeah, and he was like, if you could give one piece of advice or one piece of like little bullet point to your kids, what would it be? And it was like, oh, wow, like, okay.
That's rough. There's so many things that come to mind that you want your kids to be, right? I mean, not that you're trying to make your kids into anything necessarily other than just like virtues, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like things to stick to, you know, like your honor, you know, being kind to people, helping as much as you can, and then being confident in yourself, you know. That's such a huge part of you. When you're confident in yourself, you can help other people. You can be sensitive to other people too at the same time.
Yeah.
That's so key. But then, man, being happy finding happiness that's so key too. I mean, doing what makes you happy. Like, I mean, we all go through parts in our life where we're happier or not happier, right? And you need that. You need the ups and the downs to appreciate that good taste and the bad taste, right? So, but finding happiness and doing what makes you happy is so much more important than anything else. And I know it's so cliche to say something like just do what makes you happy, right? That's so cliche, but man,
that can be dangerous.
It really can. But at the same time, I mean, finding what really makes your soul complete, whatever that is, you know, and we're all chasing that. You don't stop chasing that till the day you die. But
I think what you said though, like, because you know, I think when you said it's dangerous, like if you went into hedonism or something, it's like,
right.
But dude, balancing it with what you said about like figuring out how to kind of help other people and do something that truly matters, but doing the things that make you come alive and find a true sense of joy. It's that balance there.
Yeah, well, I guess I made a joke out of it, but
I know.
The clarification of like where you said like people say like do what makes you happy.
Right.
Well, let's not just leave it at do what makes you happy.
Right.
Like that's just like, well, that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be clarified.
Yeah, there's plenty of people sitting on their ass collecting unemployment that are real happy.
Makes you
Right.
happy, right.
Until you do it for the next 10 years and then you found out that you've gained 100 pounds or 200 pounds and you can't, you know, you now is being on an episode of My 600-Pound Life. Is that really what makes you happy? Like
the pizza made me happy.
Yeah, like at the time. Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, I mean that's it, and being part of the tribe of humanity too. I mean that's like touchy feely and stuff too. But man, that's like we're primal creatures. You know what I mean? But finding people that you click with, you know, and that you can connect with, and that are gonna help what your fundamental beliefs are. You know what I mean? That's super key too. You know what I mean? You don't want to constantly be fighting people that are against your grain or against your energy and things like that. You know, it's just toxic.
Well, I think too, at some point, and I see it more and more, the more and more we keep doing this. You know, we've talked to very different people. I would like to talk to even more extremely different people that have views that are.
Yeah, they won't come on the show. They're scared.
I've invited a handful of people that have very different views.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't even consider myself to having as extreme views. I find myself even attempting to pull Tony back from some of this. I might be the wild one that believes in aliens, but you know, but it's you realize that we're all just here. Like we're doing this thing whether you want to or not. So, and when you spend some time, you know, face to face with somebody, it's hard to really hate somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, when you really just sit down, like, you know, what was it? I think it was, I want to say it was Brett Weinstein that talked about like having a conversation with somebody, with people that, you know, vehemently disagree with you. One-on-one, it can be very easy unless the other person is extremely belligerent. Then whatever, you have to cast out the outliers. But you can get up to 5, maybe 10. But once you start adding more, excuse me, outside of that, like the 8 to 10 range, it becomes more of like a mob rather than individuals and people. You know, you can have disagreements and conversations with people that have different ideas and, you know, ideologies than you. But as soon as you get that big group of people, then there's something weird that happens.
I again, not to jump in on you.
I think
it's spark an idea of. I really feel like again, this all comes down to like self-confidence. It really all boils down to this because when we get in those groups of like 8 to 10 people, we start looking around, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, what's everybody doing? And it's so hard to fight that. Or like, no matter how confident you feel in yourself, if you see the rest of the crowd doing this, it's just fundamentally keyed into you. Like, I should probably be doing it. Like, maybe it's something tied into our primal survival nature. Like, am I going to die by not running right now? Or what, you know, like, maybe that's what that is, but it's so hard to fight that. Again, like whatever the issue is at the moment, like whether it's masked or not masked right now, whatever the issue is, it's so easy to look around and go second judge yourself. Right. And that's what that stems from. I think when you talk one-on-one with somebody, that stuff gets stripped away and then you kind of identify more with yourself. And it might be counterintuitive that when you're on your own, you would be more confident than you would in a crowd. But I think you're more open to other ideas when you're on your own than you are when you're in a crowd too at the same time.
What if you're not like that? Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know, brother. Yeah, it's
like and I don't know, man. Like there's certain things I'm like, this is what I believe. And dude, I don't care if everyone's doing the opposite thing, man. If everyone's doing something, I always question, like, I'm like, well, why are they doing that? Like maybe 9 out of those 10 people are just following that one person. Like, maybe I don't want to follow those people. I question it.
Yeah, that's good. That's healthy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm right because I've definitely been wrong. I'm like, wow, I was really a dumbass in that situation. I guess I should have just done what everybody else did. But in the same sense, I'm like, like I take a hermeneutic of suspicion on a lot of things, man. I try and question that. So like, man, I feel like you're that same way. Like, dude, you're not just like a lemming at all. You're just like, well, why are people doing this? Like, I'm not a follower. Like,
get you in trouble a lot too.
Yeah, like I'm gonna ascertain my own information, and I'm fine with being in trouble as long as like, and dude, if I know that I'm right and it's like just and it's you know I can support it and like I'm fine. I'm fine with getting in trouble for those things, and you know. I don't know. I just wondered where that comes from.
Well, I think you mentioned a couple things there that are key is questioning. You know, to be that type of person, you have to have confidence that you talked about. Like you have to have,
goes back
and you have to have confidence in all of the things. You have to have confidence in your questioning. And why am I questioning this? And what do I think about this thing? You have to have confidence that, all right, I might get in trouble for doing or saying or not doing or saying these things. And I'm okay with that. And, you know, you have to have confidence in yourself and what you believe and lining all those things up, because there's a lot of people I don't think, you know, have you ever seen those where they do those studies where they're like, you have like, they bring like 1 or 2 people in a room and they're like doing something, they ring the bell and the person stands up and like the first person's like,
well, weird.
That's weird. And then they bring more people in and the more people that come into the room, the more people follow just this random thing that they've never been told or given instructions. They just see those, you know, the more people doing it, it's like, oh, I guess that's what we're supposed to do. You know, it's like, if you're standing in a crowd, you know, even I think, Tony, I'd see you as an individual thinker, but like say you're standing in a crowd and like in a normal place and pretend like all those people are actors and all of a sudden they just started running one direction. You go, okay, well, what's going on? Maybe I should like, I'm going to.
No, I would assess the situation.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But you're telling me you wouldn't err on the side of caution and go, okay, I'm going to move with them here a little bit.
Walking?
Yeah, I'm going to start moving this way.
I would always err on the side of caution, but if there wasn't, you know, there wasn't a bottle of Pappy 15 that they're running towards. Like, why are they running?
But
Or,
I'm just saying,
you know,
I
is there a
think-
lion coming? Like, I just got to be faster than the next guy. Like, let's,
But I think the point. I think there's something
Yeah.
instinctual.
no, I
You know what I mean?
definitely
Yeah, for
agree
sure.
with that. Like,
But I think you have to train yourself. You have to train your
Right.
mind to go, okay, like this is what I believe and this is what I think, this is what I want to do or whatever, and be able to kind of push back against it once the time comes. But if you're not prepared, if you just kind of float along life, then when the crowd moves, you're going to go, well, I guess I'm supposed to move too.
Yeah,
You know?
to stump back to that question that you asked me real quick, if it was the pieces of advice, I'd break it into 3 things. I'd say confidence, love, and self-discipline. That's what I'd say.
it's a good answer.
Because I think that ties in. You know what I mean? That's, you gotta live hard, love hard. You gotta be confident in yourself, and you gotta know when to be disciplined. That training yourself to go with that gut feeling of, do I stand here and stare at the light, or do I run? Right?
I also think this, listening to you guys talk about this, it goes back to like the self-appraisal that you guys have talked about.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have self-confidence in this specific topic that you're talking about, are you honest enough with yourself to be humble, or to just be honest, like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. So now my cards are out there. I don't have to act one way or the other. I can just listen, or I can just take it in.
Right.
So you can be confident, you know, and then the conversation switches and it's something that you're very confident with. Okay, then you know, you can stand by yourself because you know it, or, you know, whatever, you know what you believe in, or whatever. But I think it's that self-appraisal that we have talked about multiple times on here, to just, you have to be honest with yourself so you can be honest with everyone else, and just say, hey, I don't know. Like, I'm going to listen to this group, and I'm going to listen to this group, and then I'm going to decide, you know. I think that's also important.
That's a hard thing too. I've honestly, I think that's one of the things I've learned just recently in the last, 5 years, or whatever, is being able, who was it? I think it was the conversation we had with Joe Copenhaver when he came on. And I think maybe it was you that said it, being honest with your self-appraisal. And it was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, like, that can give you confidence when you're confident, when you're able to say, hey, I don't know anything about that. Like, just to be able to say that, like, it's hard to admit that you don't know something, or to admit you're wrong, but to be able to do that, once you do it like once, it's like,
It's so freeing though, isn't it?
yeah, like, and just like, it's like telling the truth. Like, even if it's hard, sometimes you go, well, you know what? I don't have to worry about this anymore because now you know.
Yeah. Here's when it's not. Here's when it's
not my
not.
circus.
Here's when it's not hard. When you try and bullshit your way through something, and you meet someone who's an expert, and you get your ass handed to you.
No, but that's even harder.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but but
You
that's
changed real fast.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were able to do that up front and go, you know what? I
Yeah.
know nothing about that.
Right.
Then you, like, it's weird because it's like you have that like kid mentality inside you where you're like, your parents are like, hey, who did this? And you're like,
What's the answer, Tommy?
oh yeah, can I talk my way out of this?
Yeah, but
Like,
you don't want to go too far the opposite direction either, with always saying, well, I don't like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Because
Well, yeah, but
if
I'm-
that's your job, or you're trained in that, or like people rely on you, like, you need to be able to go, yeah, I know this.
Well, life is balance. That's all
It
it is.
is.
It's on
Yeah.
a finite knife edge
100%.
constantly. It's never,
That's why I'm a centralist, man.
Yeah.
but I think that's the point though, is if you're confident in what you do know,
Yeah.
I think you also have to be willing to be confident in what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And I think that those two will feed each other, because the more you do know about something, you can say, I can say, I really like bourbon, but I don't know shit about it. Like,
Yeah.
I know how to like describe it what I like about it, like a little more, because Tony is, shared his plethora of bourbons, but like, I don't know that much about it.
Right.
But like, when it comes to like, the stuff you brought, I was like,
Yeah.
or fly fishing, I'm like, nothing. And it's like, it's freeing to be able to go, yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Well,
Like, but tell me, because that sounds fun.
Why is that? Why is it that we're like innately wired to feel like our knowledge is attached to our self-value for some reason? I mean, like, as long as you are like contributing to society, giving it your all, you're not just mooching off other people, and you're contributing, and we're all doing this crazy thing, right?
Right.
Why is it that we're wired into feeling like if we don't know something that we're like less than? I don't know what that is, but
I
that's what
don't. And maybe I'm an outlier, but dude, I have no problem being like, yeah, I don't know that. Like, yeah, it's something that maybe I'm should be an expert on. I don't know that. I'll get you an answer, or I'll find someone that had, like, I don't care.
I guess when I say we, I mean like as in
No,
society.
I know,
in
I
general,
know,
But
I know.
yeah.
Well, I've heard some people, and maybe this is completely off, but I've heard some people talk about like how, public speaking is, and this is not directly tied to it, but in my brain, sometimes I've noticed re-listening to some of the things I say, and I'm doing it right now. I have a hard time articulating exactly like what I'm thinking, but sorry. I've heard it said like, like public speaking is so hard for people because theoretically back in the day when you had to stand up in front of your tribe, it was because you had to explain why you shouldn't be cast out or why you shouldn't be executed. Like you're
Critical.
You're standing up at the noose, or you're on court or whatever, and any last words or anything like you can say for yourself. Like it's some kind of like instinctual thing that's kind of built into people. Like when you're standing up in front of your peers or in front of people, you don't want to come off like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to say the wrong thing because these people are going to judge you, and
But we're right back there, aren't we?
Oof.
Right now. We're right back there, right?
Yeah.
Even something like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is something that I've said a ton of times before. Like doing this right here is not me. At least 5 years ago, it was not. But we started doing music, and then we ended up playing a show. Ooh, yeah. I hope that was a small pour, Tony, because I don't think you're gonna like that one. It's different. It honestly, I even tasted it in this one, and it was like super flavorful. Like
was it really?
This next one
Still
was
perfect.
I just caught briefs of it. But yeah, like doing this, like
you don't want to do it, brother. You're fine. You
yeah.
pour it in that glass.
Oh, I'm doing it.
All right.
I'm doing it.
it's not bad. It's definitely
Different.
smoky.
It's different.
Yeah, but like me and Tony talk about, we forget that, when we have guests in here, and then you put a microphone in front of them and they're like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, like you just seem so tight. Like, and then you realize, you forget that like, oh, like they've never done this before. Like, they've never like, and I find like people that are, whether they're teachers or they're musicians, it's people that can have experience performing in front of others. There's something weird that, you get accustomed to, like
A lot of them don't care what people think.
right.
That's what it
And
is.
it's getting
good.
used to putting on a performance in front of other people that it's like, it slowly changes where you go, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
It's kind of like, you dip in your pool,
Yep.
dipping your toes into the water. You go,
Yeah.
okay, that's a little cold. But if you just jump right in, and then you're used to jumping right in, and then after a while you go, that, hey, this isn't going to be so bad. Not everyone's not going to like throw stuff at me.
Right.
Not like there's going to be some haters out there.
It can be like that though nowadays. There are people that have lost their lives, like not literally, but even literally, but also like their careers.
Yeah,
So it can be that.
it can be, and that's, I guess it goes back to, I think Tony would take a pee break, but I think it goes back to like, at some point you have to be confident in yourself enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, or I'm not going to not do this because people don't think I should. If I'm not hurting you, then
It fundamentally comes down. I mean, we talk about how nasty kids can be to each other. We don't get over that.
maybe
We don't. We don't.
Yeah.
Humans. I'm telling you, humans don't mature past kindergarten. Like we don't. We can be so nasty to each other. It's fundamentally comes down to like why we can't agree. Like just because you don't agree with somebody nowadays, why do you have to hate them? You don't.
Yeah.
Listen to everything and then make your own choice and go about your way. If you hear something that you don't like, you don't agree with, go and go about your way. Why does it have to just wreck your life or consume you?
or you have to wreck someone else's
Or
life
that.
because of it.
You don't, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it obviously gets a little more.
You want some more of that? Yeah, is that what you? Yeah, have some,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. I'll, she wants some more.
Actually, I have a question for you, Josh. Okay. So you have mentioned before, coming home and having your parents kind of help rebuild, and then going back and dealing with the assholes,
Yeah.
as school children. So you're an only child. We only have one. And when Fred told me you were coming on here, I was just thinking about, gosh, I haven't seen him for years, and I remember we used to ride our bike to your house and stuff. But I told him, other than you being extremely talented, like drawing, I just remember you used to draw a lot. You're really talented. I said, he always just didn't care. And not in like a, hey, I don't care about anything. He just stood out as someone who didn't care what everyone else was doing, seemed so content with it, and confident is the word that I, now after like hearing this discussion. And so what did your parent, like how did that happen? Because we are struggling with wanting Kyrie to be exactly who she is, but you know, you also have to realize like you can't be mean, you have to be kind, you can't be a show off, but you're really into drama club and theatrics, and you know, trying to still be confident with who you are, but also like there are societal norms, some you shouldn't follow, but others like you can't be rude. You know, what did your parents do?
I mean, there's so many things that kind of come together. I mean, before I jump into that real quick, the biggest thing is letting your kids know, at least my opinion, that you're gonna mess up. Right. I mean, we're all going through this, and we're trying to do the best we possibly can, and you're gonna mess up. Just get back on the track and just keep rocking, right? Or whatever you're doing, like you're gonna mess up. Keep going. But a lot of things just, I mean, again, that like, not to be cheesy about it, but that love that like, you're gonna mess up, and we still love you at the end of the, I mean, I remember even right at the end of my racing career, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're gunning for it, like trying to decide whether I want to, you know, do you want to do this for a living type of thing, or should we stop? I mean, we're racking up a lot of injuries. Like, you're getting a lot of head injuries, you know, they affect me now still. But before the gate would drop on these things, like, I mean, I remember my dad tapping my chest on my chest protector and yelling through my helmet when all these bikes are ripping next to me on the start. He's like, you know, I love you, buddy. Go have fun. You know, like that stuff just, I mean, that rips you to your core. You know what I mean? Like knowing that your parents like love you every day. That's big, man. That's big.
It's hitting because we like, she's getting older and we're having these conversations, and it's just, you know, this is my first rodeo. You know, she's growing up, and she's experiencing everything new, and me too. You know, so she's watching us grow up and do this, and we get it wrong. You know, I need my mom to tell me, "Hey, you're going to get it wrong."
Right.
I still need that.
Yeah.
So that's just...
So when your parents told you that, man, was that just like, I guess in my mind, I'm like, dude, when did you figure out it was okay to fail? Was it because of that? Was it a specific instance?
I'm
like
still figuring it out. It's okay to fail. I mean, right? It just turns into something else. Like we're worrying that if it's okay to fail with our kids, right? Like, it never ends that it's okay to fail. I mean, you're always second guessing that, and that's good. I don't know that there's a clicking point that it happens, or like tomorrow you figure it out. It's just, you have to go through those constant trial and tribulation. Like, I feel like humans, at least me, I always need something to chase. And if I don't have something to chase, I'm lost. Maybe that's just me. I don't know what it is, but like, as soon as I lose whatever it is I'm focused on, regardless of what it is, whether it's racing or music or art or design or marketing, whatever it is, I need something to chase. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's just for whatever reason. I don't know.
I understand that wholeheartedly.
All right. Okay.
So, and there's that element of creativity that's involved with that chase as well.
I think even if some people don't view themselves as a creative person,
I mean, if you're chasing, there's going to be some sort of creativity, I think, in that chase.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, creativity manifests itself in so many different ways, but like, if humans aren't creative, if you're not in a space where you can be creative, you're not happy.
You're speaking my language,
you know,
now.
Like,
you're speaking my language.
You
know.
Fundamental
So I think there's two threads there. You know, you talk about chasing. You think and we've touched on, you know, that instinctual kind of just human nature that you have. Do you think there's something to the fact that seeing that we don't actually have to literally chase things anymore, you know, because I think that was kind of what made humans as a whole, you know, special, was they get we're not particularly when it comes to the animal kingdom in general, we're not particularly strong. We're not fast.
Right.
You know, we don't have.
That's all we got.
Yeah, all we have is our brains, and
we can carry heavy stuff for long distances.
Yeah, but not even heavy stuff. We can.
No,
carry,
dude. I mean, that's our frame built. Like,
Well-
I'll argue against all day. That's
well, okay.
relatively
But
compared to
you ain't
elephants or
carrying what a
whatever.
horse is
Yeah,
carrying
what
all
about
day.
ant or ants?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, we
Like I
but
said,
the
relative.
long distances. You know,
yeah.
But I think that's, you know, we ended up, you know, forming these collections of people and tribes, and you've talked about that human, you know, interconnection. But do you think that's also driven that since we've kind of defeated the need to chase things physically
Right.
to survive, that, you know, it seems like you need to chase that creativity to survive, because now, okay, we have to go to the next step because we have to, you know, how do you look at that, and how do you kind of keep yourself, you know, maybe, for lack of a better way to say it, like on that track of, you know, making sure that you're chasing that creativity, you're chasing that next goal, and you're making sure you're happy. It seems like the happiness kind of comes from your close-knit tribe, as were your family, and then being able to create and kind of go to, you know, chase those goals. Like, how do you kind of manage that? Like, because it seems like you got a lot of hobbies, like from what you said, and like, what's kind of some internal conversations you have with yourself to, like, you know, because everyone, you know, you mentioned, you know, you kind of have that ebb and flow of up and down. Like, what's something like when you have those downs, you go, hey, I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. Like this, I need to kind of kick myself in the ass. And
It's those tough love talks, right? I mean, why are you whining? It could always be worse. I mean, and not, I mean, it could always be worse, right? You could be in this situation, right? You could be in that situation, right? Look at all the things that you have instead. Like, you have so much, right? You have these people around you that love you. You're fortunate with your life, whatever it is, to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's enough to at least get you back in the Rocky mode, right? Where you're like, right, all right, I'm ready to go back in. But then you need something to chase, because that only goes so far, right? That amp up for a moment. That's somebody slapping you on the back before a set or something. That only lasts for so long. Then you have to take over. And I don't know what that is, whether it's stubbornness, whether it's just passion. Confidence. I don't know what it is that takes over, something that just, if we're doing this, I am chasing it down and grabbing it by the teeth. I don't know what that is. I don't have any answers for it.
Do you think there's some kind of because at least I know for myself, there's a little bit, there's enjoyment tied to some of the things, and trying to find how I can link some kind of I enjoy doing this or this aspect of it, so that kind of helps that driving factor. Because it's really hard to do something you don't enjoy doing. Like, you know, I think someone like yourself who I feel like, you know, your day job, as you say, you know, creating these films and the advertising and all those things, like, you can tell there's passion there, because there's that, you know, like you said, that visceral kind of connection to it, you know, but not everybody has found that, you know, and it's really hard, because sometimes you get in this groovy, like, hey, I got bills to pay. Hey, I got children to feed. I need to do this. Like, but do you think there's some kind of, and maybe this is asking too much out of me, I don't know, but there's some kind of advice for some of those people that, like, find themselves in that position that, you know, because I know I've been there, where it's like, man, like, you're sitting there like, I don't want to do this. I got to get up, got to go to this job. Like, but I got to do it. But, like, to break out of that, to find that, you know, creativity that Tony always talks about, or like to be able to move to that next step of, you know, your personal evolution, as it were. Like,
yeah, for me, it's very, very, very stripped down physical stuff, because I've been there. Like, I completely lost the passion for that thing for years, right? And then not too long ago, it came back, and it's literally something sensory, like literally just by your finger on the string and touching the string and just feeling how good it feels to bend a note, land on something, pluck a string, whatever it is. Like, super, super basic, just how it feels under your fingers. I mean, I lost my calluses. I wasn't even playing that much, you know. whatever that is. I mean, I know that's just very niche, but whatever it is that like stimulates you, whatever you got into, you know what I mean? That boxing, whatever, the smell of the mat, whatever it is that really sparked you. And I know some people, you asked, what do you say for people who haven't found that? And that is the hardest one. It's easier if you've found it. To me, to get back into it, you kind of know the things that stimulated you, whether it was that touching that string on it, spanking that chord on that amp at the beginning of this, whatever it is, right? Like you feel it in the gut. But if you haven't found it yet, Lord, I don't know, man. That's rough. Like trying as much stuff on this planet as you can until you find something that just aligns with your soul. I don't know. It sounds cheesy as hell, but
That sounds good.
Man,
Yeah. What else are you gonna say?
That's all you can do is just keep trying. Something is eventually going to click. You can't. There's no way you can go through this life if you are constantly searching and looking for something to stimulate you, and you try all these different things. There's no way you can go through everything, and just not find something that just stands out. Like, yes, that please. You know, right?
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. Man, you almost got me to the point of speechless multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Woo.
I don't know. That's a crazy ride. That's all you can say.
Yeah, crazy ride indeed.
So, dude, I'm like thinking back to your question a little bit, man, and thinking about creativity.
Do you think it's so the separation between innate and just because it's something we knew we found?
So,
because most chimps aren't like they're just like throwing crap at each other.
So, dude,
You know,
which chimps succeeded? Dude, the chimps that like thought outside the box, man, are the chimps that had a level of creativity. So, even if you're doing something that might not make you more money, or might not make your life better in a an instance of surviving, you're still building on skills of creativity, which lead to these other tiers of creativity, which maybe you're going to put more money in your pocket. Maybe you're going to have better survival skills. Maybe you're going to have all these things. So, like, for me, I was really trying to think of this. And I've had a few bourbons, so it's like, we got to bring this back in here.
I hear you, brother. Right.
But like anyone who had a level of success, and I tried to think of this from a business standpoint, from a music, from anything where someone was successful, I feel like there was some level of creativity, and creativity and originality aren't always synonymous with one another.
Right.
But let's say someone said, well, here's this business, okay? I'm going to do the same thing this person did, but I'm going to improve upon it. So now that gave, I made more money. It provided a better life for my children. Now my children are ahead. Like, all these things stemmed from that original creativity. And so I think, like, as a species, or as whatever you want to call it, man, like, if you have that level of creativity, like, even if you're not thinking this way, maybe it is something innate that, like, it's going to put you ahead of, someone else or something else.
Yeah, I guess that's one thing that's unique about Homo sapiens is we're for the most part, the only creatures that try something new.
I don't know, dude. Flipper was.
Well, no, there is. I mean, I think animals. I mean, animals do some pretty incredible things. I heard a story about I don't remember who was saying it, but they said they watched
this chimp's operating.
We're not going to talk about your Bigfoot with the night vision
bro.
goggles.
Come on.
It looks more Bigfootish to me. But they talked about how they watched this bird like find a water bottle and like drink the water out of it, and then like it ended up taking rocks and dropping it into the water bottle.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah.
I'm beginning to have I'm beginning to have a love-hate relationship with him.
Yeah, I hear
but either way, like, but for the most part, like animals, they wake up, they do the things, they survive, and that's just.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of animals out there going, you know what? I'm going to try to do this thing. And if I get eaten, then okay.
Today,
like,
it's lemon in my tea.
Right? Yeah, right. It's like, we'll try this. And there, I think that is a unique thing about the capability of, really thinking outside of yourself is, hey, I'm going to try this. Like, I'm gonna full send this dirt bike off this 300-foot ramp. To me, I'm like, that's a bad idea.
It is a bad idea.
But at the same time, like
the
there's other things.
risk stratification though. If you land it and you get a contract, all of a sudden your family eats a little bit better.
Kind
Right.
of, but it still never stops being a bad idea.
Yeah, I remember watching what was it Tony Hawk when he first landed the 900.
right.
He was practicing that. He was like getting like launched off of a dirt bike and like throwing up this thing, and like now it's like people look at a 900 on a skateboard. That's nothing. I know. Well, it was nothing until some dude broke almost every single rib in his body trying to do it.
Try to realize,
Yeah, there's not a lot like so. I think there is maybe, you know what, Tony? Here we go. There's another thing of animals have feelings. They love their owners, and creativity may be the most important thing that we have.
So I don't know about the beginning there, but I'll subscribe to you. And I don't hate animals. I just want to throw that out there. I know.
I'm just saying my mind has been, because I know Tony's always talking about like creativity. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Like I like creativity too, but lay it off, bro.
No, dude.
Maybe
it's critical.
you've presented a different thought pattern for me to think about that. Were you
think, yes.
You were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say I think that just thinking creativity in my mind, I think of somebody who is artistic or someone who is musically talented. That's not me at all. So I feel like I'm not creative. I don't have much of an imagination. But then talking about you chasing something, you know, or you didn't use like your soul on fire, whatever it was that you used.
He wasn't that cheesy.
No, but when you
Getting there.
He was getting it was just something that, you know, I feel bad for people that I feel are like constantly trying to chase something to find their happiness.
Oh.
But when we are continually using creativity or chasing something, we become a better person, not just for ourselves, but everyone around us. Like when you picked up your guitar again after Aunt was trying to, like, you were more alive, right? Like that's the thing. If I've been out of the gym for months, we started a new program. Okay, I am a lot more disciplined now. I have like stuff I have to do, and it's that spark, you know. I'm not chasing anything. It's you know 10 minutes down the road. I mean, I have some goals, but it's not. The creativity is, I guess, the programming that I rely on you for, and then I have to figure it out on my own. But I never really thought of creativity outside of being an artist or being, you know, and it's just that you could put it anywhere, really.
Yeah, we instantly assume when you say creative that it's something quote unquote artsy.
Just,
Right. But man, like creativity just literally means you're creating something. Well,
something you don't necessarily have to do.
That just means something you don't have right now. So that's what I mean. Are you creating a better self?
Yeah. What about creativity, self-appraisal, and confidence?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could link those three together?
Well, I mean, they are linked together.
Yeah.
They have absolutely are hands down linked together.
I keep hearing these words, and I'm like, okay, I got to bring these back together.
Because it's one of those things where you can't have one without the other.
No.
You know, you can't have confidence without being able to look at yourself and understanding who you are and what you stand for. And
every single thing is balanced. Because, like, I mean, take confidence, right? Okay, we're going to take the confidence down. We're going to dial it up to 10, right? Well, now you're just a jerk. Like, you know what I mean?
Now
like,
you're just arrogant.
Right, yeah.
Cocky, cocky.
Everything is balanced, right? Being confident in yourself, saying, I know this much, right? But don't be into the point where you're just, like, never wrong about something, right? I mean, I used to teach guitar, right? So, like, there is nobody that you meet on this planet that wants to learn guitar that you can't learn something from. I can't tell you how many times I'd be like teaching a student and I'd just, whether they knew they did it or not, how they moved a finger, how they did something. I said, and sometimes I wouldn't bring it up to them. That's too much to kind of over. They already have the deer in the headlights look, right? So, but you'd see something from somebody. There is nobody that you can meet on this planet that you can't learn something from. Nobody on this planet is all bad, right? Nobody on this planet is all bad at something they're doing, whether they know they're doing it or not,
right?
You know? So just being confident in yourself to the point where you're saying, yes, I can send it, right? Whether it's perfect or not. But then also saying, yeah, you know what? I should probably say, I don't know right now. Right? That's the key, right? And then...
Man, that's super interesting what you said, just because, like, I don't know if we ever talked about this, the medical director of the Wayne County Jail. And so, dude, I'll meet some, like, murderers or rapists in there, and it's weird to think that, like, you could see some sort of a redeeming quality from someone that, like, took a life or did these heinous things. And it's like,
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those people shouldn't be locked up.
No, I know.
But,
I know.
Well, it was funny. The second when he said that, I was thinking like, oh, you got like Ted Bundy, and
right?
like that. Like,
exactly.
No,
it doesn't mean that like they're justified in what they did, but
No.
that still doesn't mean you can't learn something from them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like-
And it doesn't mean, again, this is probably bad too, but it also doesn't mean that they didn't do something good in their life too.
Yes,
It doesn't mean that.
living in duality.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love that. That's what when things talk about like just because somebody did this one thing doesn't mean that everything else they did was bad.
Right.
Versus,
And we should
you know,
learn from
even
that.
if 90% of what they did was terrible.
Right. Also doesn't mean it excuses them.
Doesn't mean it excuses them, but it's not saying that 100% of what they did. It's just or I think Tony was saying something. So, but I want to make this real point real quick. Like we're experiencing, or we have, I think it might be like becoming more apparent, but like the cancel culture and everything else where just because somebody did or said one really bad thing at one point in time in their life doesn't change all the other good things or, and people can be bad at one point. And
We're all going to mess up.
Oh, okay. I get it. Like understood, learned, like, but you can't learn anything unless you screw up. So like we have to let people screw up, except for, killing other people.
Well, that's got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, you guys.
Well, I mean, imagine somebody said, sorry, not to cut you off. Keep pushing him to the back.
Oh, I'm good.
I mean, imagine somebody said, okay, you could drive for the rest of your life, but if you ever mess up from the proper acceleration or proper braking technique, you need to stop driving the car. All right, just here's my keys, because you know what, like we're all gonna mess up. You know, we're gonna say something stupid. At the end of the day, like what's in your heart, or how are you helping people around you? I mean, what do you feel? How are you treating your fellow tribe? We're all just giving it our best shot. Yeah, right. I mean, hell, man.
Absolutely.
Like share your knowledge with people, and that's another thing too. Try to help people with what you. If you're so passionate about all this stuff and absorbing all this knowledge, don't lock it away in a treasure chest and then sit there and go, yeah, if you subscribe for $39.95 a month, I'll give you this. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, that's how our society moves forward. Is from the previous generation go, this is what I made with what I got here. Now you take it and you keep polishing it. Yeah. Like that's how we keep moving forward, brother. Like you can't lock this stuff away for your own greed.
Amen.
I don't know.
Subscribed.
Yeah.
So, dude, even like a broader sense of that, I think that's how we get out of the situation that we're in right now. And we've asked that question multiple times. Yeah. Like, how do we get out of this situation? And I think it's that right there. Yeah. Passing on the things that like have benefit mankind, and then going back to what you were saying about love, or the umbrella of love. Yeah, I think those are the things, man, that get us like through, the crazy times that we're going through. Like you said, you can't write this script as it is.
Well, imagine if you get like, so all these people that you see like wherever it is, just like belligerent and raging and angry, whatever quote unquote side they're on, right? Can you imagine if you could just sit down like this and have a talk with people, like how much better civilization could be?
Yeah.
Right. And we're not just trained to, today we're angry at so-and-so, and this is why.
Yeah, and tomorrow you'll be angry at this person. Here you go. Here's your assignment for today.
Yeah, or you get this crazy, like, misconstrued disinformation idea from somebody because somebody said so, and now this is why you're angry. Well, that's not what happened, realistically.
Right. But this is what we're going to tell
But we
you.
don't sit around the campfire anymore at the end of the night. We don't share stories. You know what I mean? We don't sit around a campfire. At the end of the night.
I mean, not as much as we did. I mean,
we don't at all, realistically, because we sit around the quote unquote campfire, but it's social media.
Yeah,
that's not the campfire. That's not we're not sitting across where I can see your eyes, the flames coming off of your face. I'm serious.
No, I agree with that, man. There's still a very select few, and it's how to grow that, I think. And,
right.
I had a patient, and she was just like, what? She's like, it's hopeless. That's what she said. She's like, it's hopeless. Like, we can't come back from this. And I'm like, she's like, you can't do anything about it. And I'm like, that's not true. Yeah. I said, I do a podcast, and I said, the fact that you and me are having this conversation right now, and I'm showing you a level of love, like trying to help heal you so that like maybe you see that there's good in other people and you carry that flame on. And she was like, oh, wow, I never really thought of it that way. Like, and it goes back to that umbrella of love.
Yeah.
Like, this person could have judged me, or this person could have, you know, but all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they didn't judge me. You know, they showed me a level of love, or like, they're not the same person, but they, you know, they saw some redeeming quality in me. And I think that's what it's about.
No, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you mentioning that, I think had I done everything else in the last year, I guess a little over a year now, because we've been doing this for just under a year. But had I done everything else in my life except this podcast, I
hear you. It's easy to be doomer, right?
You probably would hate me, Cass. I would probably. I mean, we get into not arguments, but we get into, you know, because I've gotten involved in a lot of, because like when doing something like this, we talk to a lot of people, we talk about a lot of different things. So like I like to be informed, so I have to like, you know, read it. Like, but man, had we not be able to sit down at a table and have these conversations with just people that I don't know, or people have different ideas and like different, you know, outlooks on life, like I'd be miserable.
I hear you.
Because you just take it in. Like if you do the social media and you learn about all these, like all the heinous things that are going on across the world, and then not be able to have a little reprieve of sitting down from, you know, essentially a stranger and go, oh, wow, you're an awesome person. Like,
right.
Oh, you like fly fishing? Like I've always thought that was the weirdest fucking thing ever. But then you tell me about it, it's like, that's really cool. Like that, like,
thanks a lot. He has so many hobbies.
No,
sorry.
I know
I'm the
that's
wrong guy. You're barking at the wrong tree if you're talking about hobby
fishing,
production.
knife making. It's gonna happen.
I got way too many hobbies.
He hasn't said, okay, what is your schedule?
Yeah.
How do you work but still get in all of the hobbies? He has to have them on like a rotation.
I do. But it's without that, just being able to talk to other people and I talk to other people, and I talk with angry people through my work a lot. And
but you don't connect with people.
No, you don't connect. But I did get a little bit of taste of like when you are able to sit down and just have a conversation with somebody, even if they still like, even when I leave and they still hate me. Yeah, it's there is that little bit of we both realize that I was a human, they're a human. I'm just trying to just trying to navigate the situation we're in. Yeah. But to be able to do this, just sit around and have a conversation with somebody, it's just, man.
Here's the other cool thing for me, man, is camaraderie and relationships. So like, I've heard you say so many different times and I don't know why, dude. I've just been blessed with meeting like the coolest people ever. And I'll bring them on the show and you'll be like, dude, every time you're just like, I feel like you're waiting to be let down, and you're like, dude, this person was amazing. Like, where did they come from? Like, how do you know all these people? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, but I want to share them. Yeah. Like, I want to share them. And that's kind of what makes the world go around. And it
There's so many great people in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It tells people like, oh, there's still awesome people in the world that, you know, have common sense, have accountability, have responsibility, like know how to love other people, have confidence, and they want to, like you said, man, the karma, the energy, like they want to put back into it, and they want to build people up. They want to build society up, man.
What if the news was that?
They wouldn't get as many clicks.
Would they?
I mean, maybe.
Would they? Though think about it though. Like after that crazy title shift.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a feel good thing? Like, don't you get some level of high from this?
Oh.
Yeah.
So my point being, like watching the news, if it was this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you get some so would the clicks go down at the end of the day when it's all the crazy dust settled after you would switch it? Would it? I mean, they're so tuned into doing all the, you know, crazy, fearful clickbait stuff.
Yeah, let's do the crazy inspirational.
Let's do the crazy. I feel so good after I watch this.
A lot more bromances.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Like, I feel so good after I watch this, and I want to attack life. Just make the news that.
Building up, man.
Like,
it'd be great.
People up.
Yeah.
It would be great. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. I mean, there's so much
buy
money.
a news station.
Yeah,
buy a news station.
Right. Keep running. That's why I say turn this into something crazy.
I don't know about anything crazy, but we enjoy doing it and enjoy talking to people, and I don't see an end to it. That's for sure.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I've moved beyond the point of I spent too much money to stop.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I guess where's the value lie? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, with the value, and if nothing else, I guess I keep coming back to like, every weekend, like we at least get to sit down here with, 3 or 4 people. And I don't think we've had a show yet where there wasn't some positive impact made. Like you turn the mics up and people are like,
and how do you put a value on that? Is that worth 5,000? Is it worth more than that?
Yeah,
That's my question.
Yeah. If nothing else, like this is like, I'll be selfish about it. It's my week of, whew, damn, that was good.
Yeah. Right.
Like, okay,
right.
I can make it through another week because there's still real people out there.
Right.
Like,
I know, right?
If nothing else, and we have people contact us that honestly, we haven't, not that we've had a big impact at all, but we've had people like just those words here and they're like, wow, that was really cool. Like that's more than we could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Just to be able to spread the word that real people are still out there.
And then I think it's how you gauge your impact. Like, do you need a mass audience, or is the impact of like one person? I mean, dude, I literally have patients, and they're like, I listen to your podcast every week. Like the things you say have encouraged me, and like I've stayed sober, or I've stayed out of jail, and I've been like, now I can continue to be a dad. I can continue to be a husband, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's priceless.
Wow, there's nothing you
that's
can
heavy.
What
put a price on.
How much does that cost?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's no monetary value to put on that at all.
No. I mean, yeah, it's good, reassuring to know that there's good people out there. We need more of that.
Yeah, and maybe it's not necessarily we need it more. We just need to connect them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the people are out there, and you just need to pull a little bit of like the people that aren't maybe so great. Like you got good in you. Like let's just give you an opportunity to.
Not
to let it show.
That's not putting any of us on a pedestal.
Not me. I'm just saying, like, because I know, like when I meet good people, or I meet people that really mean well, or doing really something great, I go, like, there used to be a time in my life where it was like, oh, that person's just trying to be whatever,
right?
But now it's like, oh, like I can be better.
Yeah,
like I can do good things. Like look what this person's doing. Like I can do that. Like I can help people out. Like,
and that's the great thing, that inspiration thing. We need to get back to that, where like you see somebody doing something great, and it inspires you to go, yes.
Instead of
I'm attacking life, instead of, well, that's so. Just looking for all the flaws.
Yeah, they were just given that.
We all have flaws. None of us are perfect. And that's so darn cheesy to say, right?
Yeah.
But like seriously, every single one of us has these crazy scars that nobody else wants to see. We don't want to show them to people. But like, look, it would have you. Give them this. Like, look, but I made this. Like, here.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
How do you do that?
This is how you, no, seriously.
Open and honest dialogue, what you always say, man.
This is how you do it. Talking to people. And this tool is crazy. Think about it. Like, I mean, you have people that are driving to work and they're in this room with us. You have people that are on their lunch break, or they're working right now and they're in this room with us. Having this conversation, that's how you do it.
In the umbrella of love.
Yeah.
And it's just small things, man. Like paying someone a compliment, or you just let someone out in traffic, and you have no idea like how far that can go. Like, oh man, Josh just let me out in traffic. Like, wow. Now I let someone out in traffic, where all of a sudden like it puts me in a different mood, and I see someone on the side of the road that got in a wreck, and I pull over. And I help save them, or like it's this crazy cyclic, like,
or acknowledging kindness too.
Yeah.
You let somebody out and then you say thank you.
Yep.
How many times you let somebody out, right? And they just they look at you like, yeah, I thought so, right?
Yeah.
That's not like, how about I say thank you? How about that? Like,
a little bit of grace.
Yeah, a little gratitude, little give and take. Everything is give and take, right?
I like it.
Me too. I don't know if we could find a better ending than that. So, Josh, man, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, thank you.
Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah,
thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us on this episode.
Appreciate it as always. And if you have any questions, comments, ideas, or guest suggestions, leave them in the comments after you subscribe to the channel, or visit chroniccuriosity.com to get in contact with us.
And the store, which you can pick yourself up some fantastically curious merchandise.
Until next time. That's it.